He also got some great lawyers in there. Let's see. Meme Copium. That's a good lawyer that he got in there. Cool for
I never thought I'd say this, but shouldn't we be
law-splaining the interwebs?
Say the line!
Interesting new matter of public record attached.
How's it going, everyone? It's me, your favorite non-practicing non-lawyer, back with some more of the Baldo saga in the bunker. And things aren't looking too good, although they might try and have you believe that's not the case. Today, let's see what the binding poll said. But quickly, I got to remind everyone to like the stream. My voice is a little bit sore today, so it'll be a bit deeper, I suppose, but it should be okay. But let me know how it's going in chat. Say hi. And the binding poll says that we need to do the null shower text first. But I am being joined by this stream by somebody. So let me see. Where are we? No, not by potentially Sean. But I was looking at potentially Sean's thumbnail the other day, and I saw these very cute little ceiling cats in the background. And that reminded me of something from well in the internet's past. And that is, where is it? Shit. Ceiling cats. You can get your own cute little foldable ceiling cat. Look at this. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. There it is. If you love ceiling cats, you can get your own papercraft ceiling cat to join you in your stream. I made a ceiling cat for my ceiling cat, so we've got two cats for this stream. They actually look pretty good on the wall. Like, throw it like this. Hold on. I'll show you this. If you like actually stick them on the wall, they look pretty good. They look like you really do have a little ceiling cat watching over you. So if you just search for like ceiling cat papercraft, you'll find it. Although I did post it in the Discord, which of course you can access if you're a member, or if you support the stream, I'll send you an invite to that. But I suppose we'll start off the stream with, oh, you know what? First we'll go with this first. So Nick did his victory lap stream, which was very embarrassing. I can't believe he actually exposed his own texts to null. I think he had a reason for that, which I'll go over in a moment. But it was a disaster. Very embarrassing, and null actually did him a favor, in my opinion. But the funniest thing when it started, everyone was looking at me and it's like, if only you knew how bad things were. And my AI chat summary was very funny, so I thought we might have a look at it. It says, auto chat summary. Viewers are reacting to Nick's appearance, commenting on his red nose and wondering if he looks different. Some viewers are concerned about his health and well-being, while others are focused on the content of his stream. So he didn't have one of his lights turned on when he started. He turned it on, but it didn't really improve the situation, as you'll see. Right, so we're going to go through. There we go. We'll go through this one first. It's called Rekietalaw versus Potentially Criminal. No amicable understanding right now. Let's take a look. Make sure I'm not muted. There we go. All right, let's begin.
Iceman 1014 says, tangentially related. Is there any chance you could have Sean on and come to some sort of amicable understanding, or are things too far gone between you two? Well, I can't right now. Not during my case. Not at all. I liked it better when you two were on together, but it is what it is. Regardless, congrats on uniting the family again.
So there's obviously this. Look at this pause. Oh, if only you knew how bad things were. If only you knew how bad things were. This is the segment of the audience that just wants everyone to get back together and like get the band back, and everyone forget about the drama. Just get back to law streaming and making fun of other people because they don't like it when their guys get made fun of. That's never going to happen. I really could never see them ever getting back on the same stream. It might be interesting though, but I feel like Sean would press him pretty hard if that was the case. Oh, wait, go back. We got a freeze frame. There it is. The dog face. The white person dog face. It's exactly the same. Do you not see it? Wait, oh, got to get rid of that. There we go. It's the same face that white people make when they're upset. Oh, I love that dog so much. So cute. All right, continue.
I don't know if it'd be profitable enough for him to do it.
What does he mean by that? What does he mean by, I don't think it'd be profitable enough for Sean? Surely this would be very profitable for Sean because he'd be able to do review streams, reaction streams to it. What does he mean profitable? Profitable. It wouldn't be very good for Nick, though. That's the real reason. And also, Nick's not going to let him on because he doesn't want people to make fun of him.
It's not really, I'm not inclined to invite many people on the show right now, and people who have been speaking specific.
So he's only inclined to invite people on that glaze him, like Barnes, and I guess who was the other guy he's had on since he got back? I can't remember. There's one of the other people that are still in the bunker.
Specifically about my case, so specifically wrongly. The issue is they'd want to get into a discussion about the case, and I can't. There are things I can talk about, and there's a bunch of stuff I can't, which I'm about to talk about what I can't talk about.
There's some good lawyering.
Not that way in just a second. Azriel Bain says, if I remember right, well, lit the fuse on Sean's tampon initially was Nick explaining to him that Josh is a spurg that doesn't understand basic human interaction. Been a hormonal fat woman about it ever since. There are reasons for that.
He's been a hormonal fat woman about it ever since. So if you missed that, if you missed the original blow up at Sean, what happened is Sean made a joke, and then because Null had been ignoring Nick's texts for the last year or something, he decided to blow up and just start, I guess, grilling Sean on the Kiwi Farms or something. It was very weird. It's just because he couldn't get attention that he wanted from Null that he decided to take it out on somebody else. And I'm not sure Sean's was the whiny one there, Nick. I think that was quite the reverse of that. Blowing up at someone randomly who's, at that time your friend for such a meager joke, that seems very hormonal to me, is what I'm saying.
There are reasons for that.
Well, I'm a farmer. Hey, fellow farmers. Hey, guys, I'm on the farms, too. Huh?
All right. Best.
Really did miss those Rekieta stand-up routines. Thank you, Chrissy Meyer, for asking him to start those. It was a very good move by her part.
The luck to you.
Alrighty. So this is in two parts of the videos. I think we'll watch this one first. There's the actual shower text, which take 45 minutes. So buckle up. It's going to be a long one tonight because we still got all the text to go through as well. The first part of this is called Rekieta talks about his case updates, CPS government mistakes, and rambling cope August 8th, 2024. Oh, one of my friends is born on August 8th. I should wish them happy birthday. Well, I did, but anyway, let's get right into it.
This is basically resolved. The kids are home. There's a rumor.
I gotta go back.
That the grandparents or whatever have moved in with us.
Gotta go back. Hold on. Sorry, it started a little bit early. All right, there we go.
My family case is basically resolved. The kids are home.
Nope. They wouldn't just give the kids back. It's probably a trial visitation. We don't actually know the details, and it's very frustrating because it seems that Minnesota Public Records on the farms has got a big backlog of information they're not sharing. So some of the answers that we have might be answerable by those documents, but they are staggering the release of them to coincide wherever Nick is streaming, which is very funny, but it does give us a bit of a gap in the actual knowledge. But even if he does have the kids back at his house and his parents aren't there, because that was one of the ideas that was floated, he's going to ramble on about how that would be a terrible idea because he doesn't want to get downgraded to child again and have to listen to his parents. Also, it's very difficult to have a degenerate throuple sex parties when your parents are around watching you, right? They're going to send him to his room alone or something without dinner, which would actually, that might work for him. So he wasn't very much into that. But even if they've returned home on a trial visitation, they're going to be doing checkups. They're going to be looking into seeing if you're not relapsing. They're going to be a part of your life for the foreseeable future. But let us continue.
There's a rumor that the grandparents or whatever have moved in with us. That rumor comes from an idea that was thrown about in the early part of the case as a way to get the children home sooner. It was an idea that was not ever something I wanted to do, but of course would have done that if it would have brought my kids home sooner. I thought it was an insane proposition, and so did the county, frankly. The county attorney and the county services offices were not interested in that. The judge
I'm not sure that they thought it was an insane proposition. I think someone said it was interesting by going through the court documents. That's what it says. But the issue there was that the parents were incapable of recognizing someone under the influence. And I don't believe that's true for a second, first of all. The parents obviously can tell if someone's fucked up, like Nick was fucked up during his streams, but they don't want to say that he was. And if they say that, like, well, Nick was fucked up, and obviously he was drunk, obviously he was high, obviously he was stoned, obviously he was swinging, then it's not going to look favorable onto his case. So they're going to go with their son, obviously, and say, no, we've never seen him look like that. So one of the things that the state was asking for is they were like, well, your parents will need to do a tutorial on how to recognize the signs of intoxication and someone under the influence before that could be a possibility. Now, obviously, this was just rejected, this idea. But the idea that it was just like, well, this is a crazy idea. No, there was some very real consideration put into thinking through this possible solution.
Really seem interested in that. One lawyer proposed it. I never liked that lawyer. The lawyer who brought it up the first time, I was nonplussed and non-impressed with his non-performance. It was his baby, and he was like, oh, it's a great idea. No, it was a terrible fucking idea, you weirdo. But hey, he brought it up.
Yeah, so he's the weirdo, not the guy that's in this, like, swinging throuple, giving his kids cocaine, allegedly, having hot tub wank parties on, like the lawyer's the weirdo. Okay. All right, that's an interesting take.
And so then it got bandied about back and forth.
He's
it
still
was
wearing
never
the
really
swinging
on
ring,
the
though. You
table
can see it right there on his
as a
monster
viable
cam.
option.
It's right there. The black ring. It's right there.
Very silly thing was shot down over and over. But hey, one guy was really married to that idea. Go figure.
Just like Nick is really married to Kayla for 20 years happily, right?
But no, the kids are back home. They're back home full time. They're here now. They're asleep because it's bedtime. All of that. And it's great. It's really nice to have them back. And everybody who said otherwise,
really
like, oh, Nick doesn't want his kids back. Yeah, okay. Yeah, your internet stuff is funny, but real life is real. And reality matters. And the reality of the situation is that 5 kids were put into really a lot of bullshit. And it's built.
You put them through that. 5 kids were put through some bullshit because of your actions. Take some responsibility. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Damn the government. It's all the government's fault. It wasn't my fault for bringing the drugs into my house and bringing this woman into my house and not feeding them to the point where they were smelly. They were put through some shit by you. Feed your kids. Clothe your kids. And don't say refuses to take any responsibility even now.
Built on the backs of bullshit. And that bullshit takes a long fucking time to fight and correct. Especially when your rights are abridged during the process. So that being said, that phase is over, and now we move on to the criminal phase of our case. I say phases, they're separate cases. They just run parallel. But the criminal matter is ongoing. I cannot talk about it. Let me put a little.
He's going to just talk about it for the next hour, essentially. But let's continue.
Well, asterisk there. People can always talk about their criminal cases unless there's a gag order. When I say in this instance about my criminal case that I cannot talk about it, I certainly can. I have the ability to. I have the First Amendment right to. But it's not wise to talk about most aspects of the case. And so those aspects of the case that should not be talked about, I won't talk about.
Why talk about anything then? Like, and I've said this from the beginning that, of course, he can talk about it. He just doesn't want to talk about it, or like, but he keeps just either say it all or say nothing. Like, don't dip your toe. Don't tip your toe into trying to say, oh, this is how it is. No, just be quiet then. Just say nothing then. If that's true, if talking about it can only harm your case, if sharing information can only harm your case, then don't say anything. And just say, I'm not going to talk about it until it's resolved. I'm not going to talk about it until it's resolved. Don't say you're going to not talk about it and then just try and drip feed and imply these things, because that's what he does. There's so much implications and like, well, maybe think about this. And we're going to see that a lot of that tonight. Also, Jane's Blonde, 007. Backs of bullshit with $2. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. I'm going to like that chat. There you go. Give me a little heart. There you go. That's kind of a neat feature they put. All right, let's continue. Don't dip your steel toe. Yeah, I wouldn't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere near the toes. That's a good one.
There are a couple things that through this process I have felt comfortable talking about and issuing specific statements on. Usually it's a statement about Minnesota law. Like when I talked about the filing of the long-term placement plans, even though the children were not looking at long-term placement, I felt it would be useful to dispel the improper notion that they were going to be placed on some permanent basis outside of the home or long-term basis outside of the home. Thought it useful to dispel that notion, educate people, say, hey, actually, Minnesota requires these timelines and things have to be filed by certain dates, even if they're not the trajectory that the case is going. So they run them parallel to what's actually going on, because there's always a chance that the people on the track will fuck up and go off the track and they'll have to go with the alternate plan. And once that happens, they're up against a statutory timeline. And so they have to run them both with the hope that the one thing goes right and the fear that the backup plan will need to be used. I try to explain that because it's a point of Minnesota law and it doesn't actually say anything specific about my case. Other stuff I've talked about is rather general. I've talked about things like what Minnesota has to prove in our criminal case. They have to prove something called possession, probably constructive possession. There are elements to it. I'm not going to get into it now, but
so one of the things that Nick talks about in his case is that the government's got to have a really hard time with everything. How are they going to possibly prove possession? But despite the fact that everything was found inside his house, inside his safe, in his bathroom, on his countertops, and it was all just laid out waiting for them. I guess the cops just snuck it in, right? That's the implication. The possession part seems like a bit of a slam dunk to me. And again, they'll probably get a pretty light sentence. Some people think he's going to get like the maximum. That's not going to happen. Unless he interferes maybe a bit more, because it seems like his attitude is possibly the worst detriment in this case. But the real only saving grace I think his case has is if they can get the search warrant thrown out. And if the search warrant is thrown out, then everything else found at that is thrown out as well. And it's a bit of a slam dunk. I don't see it happening. It's always possible. There's always a possibility for like a 1% or a 2% chance of him just getting the Hail Mary victory. But if that search warrant isn't thrown out, I really think there's no defense here for Nick except to just plea out. And that would be my assumption, is that they're going to take a plea deal the second it isn't thrown out. They've already got plea deals on the table. We don't know what those pleas are, but we know that one's been offered to at least Kayla. So I assume both of them have been offered one. And yeah, I think it's August, it's either August 21st or 28th. That's when it all comes out.
That's what they have to do. There are facts in my case that make this not the easiest thing in the world. And those facts may be brought before the court. People have consistently gotten things wrong about what's going on outside of the courtroom. I'm not always inclined to correct them, but one of them that happened early on, for example, was Lady Rackets and I both posted bond at the exact same time. For whatever reason, her bond did not get filed into her case, and people thought that I posted bond and she did not, and that there was some speculation about some rift or some plan or some setup there, when actually it was just a government mistake. The government has made mistakes all over this case. In fact, some of the documents that have come out, specifically unredacted documents, are due to some level of government mistake somewhere.
Now, this is actually true. What he's saying here is that the government has made some mistakes, and I believe some of the documents that have been leaked by Minnesota Public Records would actually put a lot of people in danger. Like if you release this yourself with your name attached to it, it could put you in legal jeopardy. Now, I'm not sure about that, but that has been implied by other lawyers that have been covering this case. So to be fair to Nick, this is true that his case is not being handled in a normal way. And perhaps that's because of his celebrity status. Perhaps that's because he's got someone in the court system that's got a grudge against him. And some people have even suggested that Nick himself is doing it as some sort of 4D chess play. I remember I received a comment about that today, I believe. But I've heard that idea floated before, that Minnesota Public Records is actually Nick in disguise leaking documents so that when he goes to court, he can say, look, Your Honor, I'm being treated unfairly. This has to be thrown out. It has to be a mistrial. I don't think that would be true, because, I mean, if that was like a really good thing to do, then everyone would leak things about their own case and just get everything thrown out all the time. Although, to be fair, Nick does have some pretty wild legal strategies and ideas, so I would have put it past him, but I don't think so. It doesn't really feel like that's right. Also, the most recent doc drop that came out was released literally when he was streaming, like in the middle of his stream, which is where I got that audio soundbite for the interesting public matter has been is attached. So I wouldn't think so. He could have 2 screens open, I guess, and he'd be ready to post. He doesn't have a Kiwi Farms thread, and I might mention that a bit later in the stream as well. No, he does have a thread. Sorry, he doesn't have an account. And when we actually get to the text section, I think that's something he regrets now. Because if you remember back into the Vic Mignogna case, he was very proud, as a point of pride, actually, that he did not have an account because he was, well, I'll come to that when it comes to it, right?
That's just how it is.
I might speed this up as well because I want to get to the good stuff. So I'm going to put a 125. If it sounds weird, then I'll slow it down, though.
There's a lot of things that go on in these things. In these cases,
okay.
A lot of people touch them, and mistakes get made all the time. I want that to be clear, because people both underemphasize and overemphasize government mistakes, government malfeasance, and government maliciousness. They're not all the same thing. Government makes mistakes all the time. Those errors don't always and often don't have an impact on the overall case, but the mistakes still happen. The filing, the lack of filing of the bond for Lady Rackets at the same time that mine was filed probably was not going to have any income. There's a theoretical possibility that the bond not being filed could in some way lead to, like that weekend before it got corrected, something happening that would look like a violation of release conditions that would then result in some sort of hearing, which would be annoying and possibly have like an arrest included, but it would be a mistake that wasn't anybody's like particular fault. But the likelihood of that was exceedingly low. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And there wasn't anything we could do to correct it, because I think we posted the bond, and then we found out that it hadn't been filed by Friday. And over the weekend, you can't like fix it. You have to wait till the next work day to do so. And when I went in to go fix it, it was already done. Like they had already fixed it. They must have known about it. I'm guessing they got inquiries. I'm not sure. But that happens. People need to get out of their heads the idea that every government mistake is somehow impactful to the case. Some of them are just government mistakes. There are mistakes that can be very impactful to the case. We saw this with Alec Baldwin's case, right? It resulted in a dismissal. Some people think the dismissal is improper. Whatever you think about the Baldwin case, a mistake was made and it was very impactful. Whether it was the right impact, wrong impact, doesn't matter. Very impactful thing. In other cases, bigger mistakes get made and they don't do anything at all to the case. So when I'm saying that mistakes happen or didn't happen or whatever, people misunderstand things based on government mistakes sometimes, like that's just the nature of the game. It's not always malicious. One of the things I said not too long ago is really true. When you start getting, one of the things that's really true is a weird thing to say, but I'll say it. When you start getting into court cases and how government works and the machine of it, actually, I think Josh mentioned this on the forum as something I said. He's, again, trying to imply something that is more than what I said. But that doesn't, let's just do it this way. I said at one point that people overestimate what a conspiracy needs to be. It's not always a conspiracy that fucks someone over.
A conspiracy really just needs to be 2 people working together to further a nefarious means, isn't it? And since this is government workers, it's quite literally a government conspiracy theory. Some people are backtracking. They're going to tell you tonight that they never said there was a government conspiracy. Even Barnes himself. Let me bring this up. Here it goes. So this is on June 25th, actually. It's a bit old. It says, Robert Barnes says, haters grown so insane, they now claim it's a conspiracy theory to believe cops never screw up, judges are ever biased, government medical testing is ever unreliable, CPS ever works against the interests of the kids or the state, and ignore the Second Amendment or the Fourth Amendment. Barnes is backtracking on his own words in a big way. Of course, he said it was a conspiracy. What else we got here? So someone responded to him saying, if you're going to die on that hill, at least appeal to something greater. Let's be real. People believe that lawyers care about justice, so care about it, not just the Bill of Rights. He says, spoken like a true communist. And the most common argument for ignoring the Constitution in the Rekieta case, we must sacrifice the Bill of Rights for justice. Nope. Constitution today, Constitution tomorrow, Constitution forever. Oh, that's great. If you've forgotten who Barnes was, actually, I have an interesting reminder for you. Let me see. Where was that? I think it was this one. Yes. This is Nicholas Sandman. Barnes Law. Would you like to explain why you're suing for me without my permission. You've blocked my lawyers on Twitter and now claim you're suing over the Reza Aslan tweet. Retract and stop lying to the public. There you go, from Digital Ambulance Chaser Barnes, who's the only lawyer you can trust in this, according to Nick, and one of the only people he's had on since he's had his legal woes, we'll call them, shall we? Jack Matt said, when is the cop cam video coming out? Good question. So when we reviewed how it works in Minnesota, it seems that the information has moved to confidential as it's part of an active investigation. So it'll be available technically if it's introduced into evidence, which is when it switches from confidential to private. Now, Nick could release a consent form for it, but it would still not be released until it moves out of confidential information. Now, Nick's been doing quite a lot to suppress that information, and there was actually a bit of an interesting development where I think Null was going over the laws himself, the statute himself, and he saw that one of the reasons you can expedite the release of such material is to dispel widespread rumors. And Nick himself has been spreading rumors about the police. He says that he doesn't, but he absolutely does. And we've got some clips to show that later. So I believe that's going to be Null's next appeal to get the footage out sooner, is that he's going to say that Nick has been spreading lies, and he's been spreading lies to people close to him, such as Barnes and also Camelot. And I believe Chrissy Mayer as well. Actually, you know what? I'll play that a little bit later. So that'll be the next action of that. Realistically, if you're going to get it, it's going to come when it's released into the trial as evidence. That would be my guess if it does come out.
What happens is that one government worker not doing their job well enough in one spot can cause a ton of problems, even up to and including criminal charges and stuff like that. I'm not saying that happened specifically in my case before anybody accuses me of saying that. I'm not. However, there are little mistakes that have happened in my case that have caused great consternation at other parts of the case. And those little mistakes are probably inadvertent. But the point of that is to say that the system is set up in a way in which very small mistakes from one individual can have massive impact on the life of an accused person. The reason I bring that up...
I wonder if they have as much influence over the accused person's life as perhaps living a degenerate lifestyle to the point where your church and family, friends are reporting that your kids stink and they're complaining of being hungry. I wonder if it's that kind of effect.
Is only to say this system is a meat grinder, and it is designed to wear you down, break you down, shame you, and destroy you. And if you don't believe that, get in it sometime. Actually, don't, because it's fucking horrible. But that's how the system works. And just those little laziness or laxities can lead to big problems for people. That's a reality that exists. People should understand that all of your rights, all of the things that protect you, that's all paper, baby. Bullets have taken away a lot of rights, and cops have been let off for those bullets, even when the bullets fired are unjust. Obviously, no one was shot in this case. Thank Christ. No one was shot in this case. Could have happened, but it didn't. But those little mistakes that are forgiven all the time are why the government needs to be held to the maximum standard, because they hold the power over you in a way that you cannot even compete with. Iceman says, legit question, Nick. Can you talk about the factors that allowed for a win in the custody, or does that have ramifications for your criminal case?
The factors for getting his kids back was he was able to piss in a cup cleanly for 60 days, but he actually reveals in this stream that he was still drinking after he was arrested. Now, it seems like, I believe it was June 6th or June 7th. That's when the judge ordered him to stop drinking or stop taking any substance, including alcohol. So in that very court case, the transcript we read last time showed that he was actually pissing hot on the very day he went to court. And this is after he said on stream, there's not a drop of alcohol in my house. Straight up lying.
All has to wait. That whole story has to wait.
But like everyone like
Sorry.
doing their, like, again, this is the victory lap stream. This is his victory lap stream, and it's awful. And all he did was piss in a cup for 60 days. It says in the documents the typical timeline is 30 to 60 days of sobriety to get your kids back, unless there's an imminent danger to them, such as like a trafficking situation or unsafe living conditions, like the house is literally falling apart. And everyone's like, well, Nick's got to be completely clean, otherwise they wouldn't give his kids back. No, they actively work to try and get their kids back in the house. That's their job. A lot of people give it like a lot of people don't like CPS, and I understand that. Neither do I. They do a lot of harm. But in Nick's case, in Nick's own case, if we take everything that he's saying at face value, the only damage that CPS has done to his life is they got him clean and got him to clean his house. It took him 77 days to clean his house, but he did it. Congratulations. Real monsters.
It's just not proper yet. Kevin Brownell says, is there a difference between your family case being resolved and the case being dismissed? If there is, which is it? For another time, brother. For another time. You need to focus on your family, bro. Get off the internet.
True. He probably should leave the internet. But I still think it's insane. And we saw this on the last stream that I did. The second he got his kids back, he was like posting to locals, I'm going to stream tonight, guys. I got great news. His first thought was to do a stream so that he could tell the internet he's got his kids back. And then people were like saying, hey, buddy, maybe you should spend some time with your kids since they're going to be back in the house for the first time, right? And he's like, oh, okay, stream tomorrow. Stream tomorrow. Oh, I got to show you some stuff, actually. Hold on. Where is this thing? Like, some of the people, like, a lot of people were like... They're like the secret Baldo escapers. Like they dress up as refugees, but they still support the Führer. And they were just waiting for a moment to come back. Like this very normal person here. I edited out his name because I don't want to get harassed or anything. But like on my CPS hearing video, he's like, cope. Nick got the W. Meme cope him. Aaron's a snitch for the government. W for Nick. Losers. Nick won. Ha 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 ha. There was another one. But he goes on like that. This is very normal behavior to post like, what is this, like six comments on the video? I mean, keep it up. I like the engagement. But anyway, where was I? Oops, sorry, that's something else. Very normal behavior. Totally, I was proven wrong, I guess. He never did the coke. He never swung. He never went wife swapping. He never got cucked. I guess he never did drugs. He never didn't feed his kids. He never didn't clean them. Their house wasn't dangerous to walk around because of so much clothes and shit on the floor. Yeah, big W. Oh my goodness. He's got him back on a trial visitation to see if he can be a proper father again. People don't seem to realize that, right? Like the kids aren't just back for good now. They're back and the government's testing you to see if you're a good dad. And if you fail, they'll take them away again. That's how it works.
All the people saying I needed to focus on my family, like, thought that I wasn't getting my kids back. And it's like, that's what I was doing this whole time. Like, you stream too much. It's like, I stream like once a week right now. They're like, too much. You got to spend your stream time getting your kids back. It's like the government's closed, bro.
If the government's closed and you can't work towards getting your kids back, then why couldn't you stream more in the evening when you typically stream? Not that I'm saying that you should, but hypothetically, right? No kids in the house. Government's closed, so you can't work towards getting your kids back. Should only take a day or two, right? Maybe a couple of days to clean the house. Where are the streams? Where are the evening streams? 77 days. The kids were gone for 77 days. How many times did he stream? Like 10 times maybe? Once a week? Yeah.
I can't even do anything. Like, literally, there were only so many hours of the week I could be doing something. And I spent a ton of it doing exactly what everybody said I wasn't doing.
That's right. He went to the tattoo.
Like, Nick's not even trying. It's like, fuck, every day. Every single day. The focus was, what can we do? What can we do? How do we do this? How do we do this? How do we do this? Oh, by the way, when you read those transcripts and stuff, and you see anything even implying or insinuating that we weren't doing literally fucking everything they asked all the time, that's what they do to you.
Blatant lie. They requested the hair follicle testing that you took at the behest of your lawyer. You refused them that. They asked many times for that. It's one of the key pieces of evidence. And obviously he has a right not to incriminate himself. But the idea that he's doing everything that the government asked, that's just not true. Simply not true. Now, he does say that Alicia Sweep is a liar and that, everything that she says just didn't happen. But no, I don't see why I should take him for his word at that. He refused entry to the master bedroom. And then later, I believe, whenever the guardian ad litem, Christy someone or other, I forgot. It's in her transcript testimony we're reading tonight when we get to the documents. She was allowed into the bedroom, which actually implies to me that the first Alicia Sweep visit is even worse. Because at first, Alicia Sweep came round. They refused her entry to the master bedroom. Then they had more time to clean up and hide whatever was there. Then they let the guardian ad litem come in and just have a look everywhere. And we'll go through that when we get to the documents. Oops.
That's what they do to you. You can do everything they ask perfectly, and they will somehow find a way to say that you're not complying. Here's one of the interesting ways they do it. This is fun. If you don't have a lawyer who knows what they're doing, for example, this happens to people in family court cases a lot. Didn't happen to us. I want to be very clear.
You just said at the beginning that your lawyer was shit. You hated him and didn't do things. That's why you were objecting in court yourself.
Didn't happen to us. We had lawyers eventually who knew what they were doing. Our first lawyers did not. They were garbage.
There you go. There's a lie right there. There's a lie right there. Let's see. Uki Roma with 5. He says, talented man, manages to hit all the cornered narcissist markers, dismisses of facts, entitled, aggressive, sometimes 3 in one sentence. Very true. Thank you for the 5. Much appreciated. Every super chat, tax-free on this channel. It's not really, but I like to believe so.
They still are. I'll tell you the story of our garbage lawyers someday. Not yet.
Is that going to be called his autobiography?
This happens in family court cases all the time. The county workers will demand, as part of some condition, substantial improvement towards parenting goals. All right. And when you ask them what the parenting goals are, they don't have them.
Actually, they were fairly clear on the goals that they wanted. They wanted to know what drugs were being used so that they could recommend you what chemicals would clean off the desks or the countertops and things like that. It was actually pretty straightforward. Be sober and clean the house correctly. That's what they asked you to do. But you were so obtuse about it. And again, he has a right not to incriminate himself. But you were so obtuse about it that you weren't able to tell them what they needed to know so that they could recommend a proper plan of action. It's just, again, it's just another lie.
I know that sounds weird. I know that sounds really weird because you're like, well, they're telling you they want you to improve on their goals. It's like, well, what are the goals? Well, we don't know. We just want you to get better at parenting. It's like, well, what does that mean? And
it means don't be drunk, prove sobriety for 60 days and clean your house. That's what it means. Pretty obvious.
Don't have an answer. They just want it to do better. And so people who don't have lawyers go into that and they go, oh, okay, well, it's obvious. I need to do this, this, and this. I need to be better at parenting. So I need to do these things that I think are better at parenting, and then that will work. And they'll work on those things and maybe they'll get better, whatever. But then the county will come and say, well, they have not made significant improvement on their parenting goals because they didn't ever define the parenting goals. And this holds up in court all the time because the county comes in and says, actually, judge, they're not making significant improvement on their parenting goals. And the person's sitting there with their dick in their hands going, wait a minute, they shouldn't do that in court, but they are. And they're sitting there going, wait a minute. What was I supposed to do? I did this and this and this. And they're like, that wasn't in our parenting. We didn't discuss you doing that. This is how these things work. It's the levers of government. Without getting into details, our first attorneys never, ever got specificity out of the expectations we had. Everything was vague. And because of that vagary, the government was able to frame a narrative out of whatever the hell they wanted. And the judge is going to defer to the government workers because judges don't have time to really personally analyze things. They're relying on the people who do the field work. Those people bring it in.
I mean, to be fair, he does want 2 mummies since his first one just watches Star Trek all day. If the first one's busted, you need to do something. I mean, she did destroy her body. Nick's words, not mine. So what else can she do except just, smoke CBD oil products and watch Star Trek? I mean, to be fair, DS9's a pretty good watch. I could watch that all day. Cisco, he's the man.
Here's the work, Judge. Here's what we've done. Here's our efforts. Here's the parents' efforts. We find them insufficient, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At the beginning of our case, those vague things started coming because our lawyers weren't doing anything. I got criticized for objecting in court.
Yeah, because that looks awful. It looks terrible. And it may be against the rules. I believe it was called hybrid representation.
And it's because I was screaming at my lawyer off the mic to object. And she wouldn't. And she should have. But she didn't. Bad lawyers, fuck you. And when your kids are on the line, man, you can't afford them. But anyway, our lawyers weren't doing anything at the beginning of the case. And so the government kept saying there were things we had to do, and they had never told us what those things were. We're like, we are trying to do everything. People make a big deal out of another thing that I mentioned in it's in the transcripts. The day that Alicia Sweep came to my house, I had called them 10 times that morning.
I really wish he clarified what he meant by this because this sounds unhinged. Now, of course, I can understand getting your kids back is the most important thing to you, but what do you mean? Called 10 times? Was it like they came over at lunchtime and you called them once an hour, you know, starting from 1 a.m.? Like, did you call them 10 times in 1 hour? This is a very weird thing to say. Like, you're leaving messages, you're calling them over and over and over. I don't know. Without clarification, this just sounds like unhinged behavior. And based on Nick's shower text with Null, which is coming up just after we finish this part, it seems like that's just the go-to move for him. The angry, passive-aggressive, not even passive-aggressive, it's active aggression, badgering over and over and over.
Because I wanted them to come out and inspect the house. We knew they needed to come inspect the house. I'd called them, please, come out. I left messages. I left voicemails on her and another worker's phones, just trying to get a hold of someone. We were never served a document. We didn't even know we had hearings until the day of, because they didn't give us the information. The internet had information before we did in our cases.
If that's true, then that is one of the things the government did badly in this case. I will give Nick that. I think the reason that sometimes the internet had information before him, not including the accounts of Minnesota public records, because when documents are uploaded, sometimes they get uploaded like at midnight or they're available the next day. So because people are refreshing this case all the time looking for new stuff, like if someone comes out while they're asleep, for example, then the internet has it before you. But if it's true that they were going to getting notifications of the hearings, and again, you have to take Nick's words with a grain of salt, because there's a little bit of truth in there, but like most of it is just lies. And correcting the record and changing what actually happened in reality, then that is a shit thing if they got told the day of.
We're scrambling to try and figure things out, what we need to do. So I'm calling these people, just desperately trying to get them on the phone. They never returned a phone call, not one time. And then they showed up at our house. People are like, why are you calling them 10 times? Dude, they have my kids. They had my children. Of course I'm calling them. I want them back. I want to get them back in their home. I'm trying desperately to get the workers out to do it. And they don't. And my lawyers didn't do anything. And we got new lawyers. Our new lawyers got the government to just define what we needed to do. Wow, new lawyers.
From my reading of the documents, it seems like it was really the work of the Guardian ad litem that did most of this. Like they actually wanted to get the kids back, because the foster care system is very traumatic for kids, and it is better to be back with the parents unless they're in imminent danger. What is the incentive for Alicia Sweep to fuck him over? That's a good question. Apparently, she's just working out. She's got a grudge against him for some reason. He's never really explained it, but he is adamant that she is lying under oath. But he's never expanded on that. Probably because he doesn't want to perjure himself. Billy Oki with a 2 Singaporean dollars says, Nick, the government lies. Also, Nick knows. Excoma with a 50 Norwegian krona says, the desperation for getting his kids back might be his fear of them telling what he really has been going on the papal coke residence. What? Did I not read this correctly? The desperation for getting his kids back might be his fear of them telling what he has. Must be what he has, right? What he has really been going on in the papal coke residence. Yes, exactly. There we go. That sounds better. All right, continuing.
Plus me spurging out.
Thank you for the support today, lads.
Once we got the government to define what they wanted from us, it was easy. But they didn't do it at first. They didn't want to. They didn't have to. Have your kids. What do you do? Beg. Please tell us what to do. Please come to our house. Please do these things. Please let us just fucking show you. But they don't return your call. What do you do? Call again. It's amazing. It's amazing. That was months. That was our life for months. You call the government constantly, asking for them to tell you what you need to do. Please, just tell us what you need to do. They don't tell you. Then they go into court and say they're not doing the thing. All right. Like I said, this full story is great.
That's a good point. Like, that's a good detail. I forgot. Yeah, it was over Memorial Day weekend, right? So the offices were closed. I mean, it sucks if you get arrested just before is it a 4-day weekend in America? I don't know, because I'm not an American. I guess it sucks timing, but I mean, that just happens sometimes. People need to take breaks as well.
Eventually, it's going to take a while because all of our cases have to be resolved. I have to be vague about it now, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
he does have to be vague about it because that's the only way he can maintain his audience and still get them to support him. Because make no mistake, he still has a large group of people that believe what he's saying. They're like, of course the government's doing the same thing to me because I too am a degenerate. How could they? They're a real, like, whatever was looking at his support, like his actual supporters, they have a bit of a type. They have a bit of a type. They seem like a lot of them actually have their own criminal convictions, and a lot of them have a lot of substance abuse problems. So they really just identify with them and say, yeah, it could be me. It just like it happened to me. I know, Nick. I know. There really is a type.
Even people I hate. No way. No one should have to be under the thumb of government. They don't operate reasonably. Debbie says, aloha, Nick. Proud of you. Not that you need that from me. Thank you. I do. As a pediatric and L&D labor and delivery nurse, I've never seen reunification this quickly. It speaks volumes about you, your character, and your strength of your family.
Well, what is she? I'm going to read that. Listen to that again.
Debbie says, aloha, Nick. Proud of you. Not that you need that from me. Thank you. I do. As a pediatric
nurse
and L&D labor and delivery nurse, I've
pediatrics and delivery nurse. Okay.
Never seen reunification this quickly. Speaks volumes about you, your character, and your strength.
I mean, how much experience to child protection cases does a pediatric nurse actually see? I mean, I'm sure there are some children's come back in, like after they get taken away from their parents if they've been abused and things like that. But like, do they see that like every day or some shit? This seems like to me, it sounds like someone trying to speak from experience when they just have a limited exposure to that aspect of it. A lot, actually. Okay. Well, I'm not a nurse, so I couldn't tell you. You'd be surprised. Okay.
Of your family. Well, again, here's the problem. Despite the internet rumors, the people that they went around and talked to who actually know us, know our family, know our kids, all said there's one thing they were 100% positive of. That the kids love their parents and the parents love the kids. We had a great relationship.
I mean, that is very sweet to hear. But of course, kids always love their parents, even if they're the scummiest dirtbags. You see it every day. Kids in the worst imaginable situations, being sold into slavery, they still love their parents. Honestly, that's just the way it works. That's what the bond of family is.
Of course, that was always true. I know, again, there's a headcanon fantasy out there that like says that I don't want to be around my kids or some crazy shit like that. Because I would say, people would ask me why you're not streaming. It's like, guys, I'm really fucking I can't. My schedule's not allowing it right now. We need to get through the school year before I can change things up because my schedule's crazy. They're like, Nick doesn't even want to be around his kids. No, if I didn't want to be around my kids, I would just have streamed or something instead of being around them. But it's like, no.
So the actual theory is that, and I semi-believe this as well, is that he wants to be Dick Masterson. He looks at Dick Masterson. He's got the Barbie Dream Palace out in LA. He gets to get fucked up every night. He gets to bang people, like a bunch of randoms all the time. And he wants to do that. Yeah. I do think that Nick absolutely wishes he could experience that as well, because he got famous. He got his like big break when he was already like basically 40. And then that's when you start to get those feelings of the grass is always greener. Now, does Nick love his kids? I absolutely believe he does. But I also believe there's a part of him, like a discord within his own wants and desires, where he wants to be with his children because he does love them, but he does want to experience this other side of the partying, hedonism lifestyle. And I think that's evidenced by his behavior, just with these these holidays to Jamaica to go get banged by Jamaicans, or going to the Twin Cities to get hand jobs and the swingers, and all of the escapism that he seemed to be addicted to. And he actually said that he was addicted to escapism a long time ago, because he said he was addicted to EverQuest to the point where he had to sell his account because he was like losing his life to it. And that's what drugs are, really. It's escapism. And it's kind of interesting how that comes about again, but in a worse way this time, obviously. So I absolutely believe that is the case. And the idea that he just likes, he just likes streaming is just not the case either, because he literally said he hated streaming, especially hated streaming trials. But now that he's trying to get back in the game, he's like, oh, I love doing the trial streams. Oh, no, I can't wait to get back into them. Doesn't even stream the Alec Baldwin trial, which would have taken a day. Now, he didn't know it was going to take a day, obviously. Could have been the biggest W of his life after coming back, but no.
That was just a reality, and people made that into something else. But when you get down to the actual people who actually know us, you find, yeah, everybody's
the people that actually know him, like his wife's sister, the members of his church, the members of his community, those are the people that reported him that caused this to happen. It wasn't just him being a victim of the internet. His community said these things about him. His community said that the children were hungry. His community said the kids were dirty and smelly. His own family reported him. Those are the people that know you. Those are the people that told the government what's happening. And that's why they came and got you, because you couldn't keep your house in order.
Seems to think you guys have a great relationship with your kids and they really love you and you really love them and you're really involved. It's like, yes, very much so. Shocker. All right, here we go. Buckmaster says, Nick, you will tell us everything eventually, just like people get the 5K gift and you will do anything else you promised. Yeah.
Local bros, I don't feel so good. Oh, that's never happening. It's never happening. He should have honestly just taken his mugshot and mailed that out as a postcard signed by him for his 5K locals gift. That would require signing some cards, though. That'd be a lot of work, I suppose, for him. That would even take a couple days. Oh my goodness. But yeah, never gonna happen. Never gonna happen.
Yep.
Doesn't even have something to say for that.
Again, huge news for me and my family. And it's one step closer to it's one step closer to being kind of back on track and back to normalcy. I'm not over. I've got a ways to go on the criminal case. And I can't tell you about what's coming in it other than like what's like, I got a hearing at whatever time. Like that's those things are kind of out there. I can't talk to you about the specifics of the case because they have to be brought in very specific ways. But, anyway, to everybody out there who supports me, thank you so much. To everybody out there who doesn't, it's cool, man. I told you from the beginning, nobody has any reason to believe me.
That's true.
And I can't counter narratives by talking because
everything you say is shit. That's why you can't counter the narratives. It's very frustrating, isn't it?
Really restrained on what I am able to say reasonably without damaging my case. And so I have to accept the fact that people may not believe me.
Yes, because trust takes decades, well, not decades, but it takes years to build and seconds to destroy. You went out and said, I don't lie. I'm not a liar. You went out and said, I believe in monogamy. I believe in raising children away from degeneracy. That's why your kids are homeschooled in the first place, because you don't want to expose them to degeneracy in the public schools. But then you brought the degeneracy into your own home. So when people see your hypocritical words, of course, they're going to stop trusting what you say. Now, while there is a good idea, it is good to have a healthy amount of skepticism of the government. Why should we believe you over them when you've already proven yourself to be a liar? Lying in every street, it's pathological. Like when you become a pathological liar, it's just something you do. They just lie all the time on the most innocuous things. They'll just make up weird stories like, oh, I found a penny or something. Like they just have to include these lies. And that's what's happened to him. He just has to lie now. And he thinks that he can control the narrative by putting out these sort of statements. And to some degree, it does work. But it's not having great consequences on his actual career as his channel continues to dwindle and losing supporters every time he streams. And how much longer can it last?
And
I guess it's good that he's got a trust fund. Good for him.
Like me for a while. I'm sorry. That's okay though. I forgive everybody. There's nothing to forgive. You get to make the decisions about people based on what you can see. And you get one side of the story. And unfortunately, it's not mine. One day when I get to tell this story, even if everything I say comports exactly with what happens, I don't think you're going to believe some of it.
Because you lie all the time. Of course nobody's going to believe it.
But it's a damn good story. And I think you'll like hearing it. Sometimes it sucks when your life is on display for people, but it is what it is. So at least I hope the show is something that you can get meaning for. Like I legitimately mean this, meaning for out of your life.
It is good. Like you ever see those old motivational pictures where it's like, like hang in there, kitty, but it's kind of got like a dark sort of slant and it's kind of a bit humorous. One of them is like a picture of a sinking ship or something. And it's like, maybe your life is to be an example to other people of what not to do. So yeah, maybe we can learn from this, like the dangers of fame and wanting to taste that path untaken when you've already got it all.
lot from
knowing when to quit.
from what we've been going through, and people are going to take that statement in a very different way than I mean it. It's not a happy learning. There's real fucking heartbreak in our story. And it's not from anywhere that you guys will have any ability to know right now.
I mean, there is heartbreak in this. This is the problem, right? Like, this isn't just happening to like, if this was just Nick, Kayla, and April and Aaron, I guess that'd be a very funny story. No, but because the kids are involved, this is very sad, and this is why people have turned on him to such a degree. Also, Myra, member for 1 month, says Rekieta doesn't care about his public image. By the way, very true.
I guarantee you, none of you know what I'm talking about as I say this, but one day you probably will, because I'll finally get to talk about it.
All right. That's the first part. So now we get to go into the text, the shower text everyone's been waiting for. 45 minutes. This is going to be a long one. This is going to be a long one. We're going to have to 1.25 this as well. That'll cut out what, like 10 minutes? We'll see how it goes. Again, it's insane to me that he decided to share these. You know what? Actually, no, first what we have to do is we have to go back and see what Null said. Because in this, he comes out and says that Null was lying about it. He was misrepresenting the situation. Let's check what Null said, and then we can compare to what actually was said. So let's see. So I read this out in the whole thing, but I'll just go to the points on this one in a previous stream. So he said, Sir Rekieta finds it necessary to impart the following upon the undeserving and unwashed masses. Sir Rekieta dearly wishes the footage may be made available. However, due to the court ordering the Chips case, as a result of the request he filed himself, discovery is sealed. Sir Rekieta states that the consenting to such a release would make him look irresponsible in the eyes of the court, revealing intimates of his home for the benefit of only an evil doxing website, which the court would not find amusing. Sir Rekieta would like to point out that in regards to Josh Moon, fled the country for unknown reasons, and that the Kiwi Farms is a bunch of lolly avatars, which makes us even less deserving of seeing the divine footage. I will allow the absurdity of such a statement to sit as it is. Sir Rekieta would like to inform everyone that they are retarded and that the children will be returned, though I think almost immediately into the thread, people with hands-on experience working for CPS have said that children almost always are returned to the homes barring extraordinary abuse cases, because a household must be a true horror show to be worse than the system. And I also don't really think the prevailing winds of the thread have been against him ever having custody again, especially supervised custody. Hereby entered into the record. That's the first part. This last part is actually really important because Nick was saying that the farms was saying that everyone was saying he would never get his kids back. But it even says here, this is before today's stream. I think, what was this dated on? I wonder if it's got it's this screen capped as today. So it's a couple days ago. No, pretty much everyone thought that custody would come back eventually. That's the first part of the message. The second part is, additionally, he said that the police, he has never said the police did anything wrong during the execution of the search warrant on his premises, and he both dares and wishes me luck in finding evidence to the contrary to support the petition to the Candiac County Sheriff's Department. You know what? I think now's the correct time to play this clip. That is from Chrissy Mayer's stream. All right.
Deadpool says, you know why it doesn't matter if my home is searched? I don't use drugs, and there's none in my house.
You know what's interesting is that you may not know what's in your house.
Woohoo! That's why you got to do a spring cleaning.
You may not know what cops bring into your house either.
You think cops brought stuff into your house?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
Now, I will ask the chat in the form of a poll because I'm curious. Does any person of a reasonable mind listen to this clip and not think that Nick is implying that the reason there's cocaine in his house is that because cops brought it in? I'll play it again while I set up the poll and just judge for yourself.
Deadpool
right?
says, you know why it doesn't matter if my home is searched? I don't use drugs, and there's none in my house.
You know what's interesting is that you may not know what's in your house.
Woohoo! That's why you got to do a spring cleaning.
You may not know what cops bring into your house either.
You think cops brought stuff into your house?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
I think it's pretty obvious here that he's implying it. Very obviously so. Of course, he's being very careful not to say the words because he doesn't want to say anything that's going to be injected into the testimony, right? But I think anyone would reasonably come to the conclusion that this is the implication. And whether the implication is for his fans or the people that still support him, I don't know. If it's for the actual case, that's a question that I guess will be answered if it eventually comes out in the court, if we get it live streamed. But I 100% believe that's what he's even saying in just this clip. This isn't even the things that he said to Camelot, to Barnes, and on his own stream. He's got a problem because the coke was in his house. How did it get there? But he can't admit to it. I think there was another theory that people were saying that like he was going to blame it all on April, and that's why he's keeping her around. I'm not sure about that, but I wouldn't be surprised if she takes the fall for this. All right, let's get into the Null versus Rekieta dropping DMs on Alyssa's channel. I'm going to give that video a like, as I would hope you would like my stream as well. Let us get into it. Nick's summer story is the first part. Oh, look at this, all these chapters. Wow. Excellent. Perfect.
So I'll give you my, let's give my update as best I can. Now, please understand that I have ongoing court issues. They're not done. The state is not done with me yet. They have just barely sloppily pulled my pants up and shoved a cigarette in my mouth for a few minutes and said, I'll be back. Right?
There you go. There's his W from his victory lap stream. It's not over. Whereas all the people are jumping around, it's over, Nick's won, GG, you lose, Kiwi Farms. Even from himself, he said he's a long way from being over.
Like, so the amount I can tell you still has to be rather circumspect. But
it's a bit quiet. Turn up a little bit.
Guys, I have this story of this summer for me is something that when I get to tell it, you're not going to believe it.
I mean, I believe I'm not going to believe it.
I don't think. And that's fine. I don't know how to like change that, but maybe you will. Maybe there will be enough accompanying documentation or whatever. Some of the stuff I have to tell is in places that may never be disclosable. Like, not that they just may never be disclosed. They just may never be disclosable for various reasons that go beyond me. But when I ultimately get to tell you the story, I will.
I don't believe that for a second. I've said this since my very first stream. What I think is going to happen is, let's say he gets the W and it's thrown out. The warrant is thrown out, and then everything else is fruit of the fallen tree, and he gets away with it. He can't keep getting away with it, whatever. He gets away with it. Let's say that happens. He'll say, look, guys, this has been traumatic. It's over now. I want to put this behind me. I don't want to talk about it. That's what's going to happen. The same thing will probably happen if he takes the plea deal. Like, if the warrant isn't thrown out, I think he's going to take the plea deal immediately. And then he's going to go like, guys, I took the plea deal. I can't talk about it. It's over. Let's move on. The only way he keeps talking about this is if people keep posting stuff about it. So if the body cam footage comes out, which he said would actually be helpful to his case. He said there's stuff in there. Oh, I haven't seen it. It actually proves I'm a good dad. The body cam footage that he refuses to help expedite. We'll see. I mean, it would be a shame if we don't get to see that dirty floor, and we don't get to see Sonny. And Sonny does show up in this today's episode, by the way, when we get to the court documents. It would be a shame, but I have a feeling it is going to come out. Even if it does get sealed, I feel like there's maybe some sneaky person that's going to leak it. It's a feeling that I've got.
Needless to say, a bunch has been said about me, and a bunch of people have said that I have said stuff that I have never, ever uttered in my life. In fact, one of them I'll have to address right away, and this is frustrating for me, is Joshua Moon, the owner of Kiwi Farms. So Joshua Moon has filed a motion. He's desperately trying to get stuff related to my case, which that doesn't surprise me or make me like, that's what Josh is going to do. And that's fine, I guess, whatever.
Spoiler alert, it's not fine, and it makes him very upset. That's why he sends angry text to Null.
But Josh is routinely...
you can hashtag save Sonny, or SS for short, if you want to show your support for the doggo. Does anyone have the... I was trying to find it earlier. Does anyone have the picture of Sonny where Nick's holding it on the first local stream back, and they've got like a little caption where it's like saying, if only you knew how bad things were? I'm looking for that picture.
Misrepresented things that I have said in this ordeal, and it's frustrating because I don't know. It's annoying when someone misquotes you. It's more annoying when they put it in an affidavit that you've said something that I don't believe I have ever said. And so I had a conversation with Josh the other day, and he went to the forums, and he just said that I said stuff, which I didn't say. It was very weird because, I mean, Josh had the messages, and I figured he'd just, like, if he needed to say something about them, he'd just release them.
Now, hearing this now, I have my own theory about this. And Josh Moon has said on his Maddie stream, I believe it was 2 days ago or so, like the other day, he has said that he thinks that the purpose of Nick's shower call texts was to try and get Josh to say something that would, I guess, perjure himself from his affidavit. I don't think that's true because I feel like that's too much of a big brain move for Rekieta. I think that his purpose is explained much simpler by saying he just wants to be able to control the narrative. That's what all narcissists do. That's what all pathological liars do, is they try and just keep doubling down and telling a story, and they need you to believe it's true. Like with Boogie, he needs you to believe about his cancer and things like that, right? So I don't think that that's what the Baldo man's intentions were, is to try and, you know, lock Josh up in his verbal wall of mirrors and try and get him owned in the court. I feel like that's just a little bit of over theorizing by Null. But let me know what you think in the comments, because I'm very interested to read them. There was another point I was going to make there, but it's kind of escaped me. Oh, yes. I think that his purpose for sharing these texts right now is because when he sent these text messages to Null, he wanted them to be leaked on the farms from the beginning. I think that his message was not just to Null, but it was to all of the haters, to tell them how retarded they are. And that when you actually look at the wording of the text, that's what it seems like to me. It's like he expected that, he thought he was so smart that he knew exactly what Josh was going to do. He was going to get the messages and immediately post them to the forums. And then he was going to have a bit of a giggle because he got to call like people on the farms like lolly avatars and retards. I think that was his intention. And so incised by Josh's behavior of not actually sharing the direct messages, he had to show them direct on his stream because that's the only way that the farmers could see his hatred and seething for them. And the reason he doesn't have a farm's account of himself is because back during the Vic Mignogna saga, people thought that Nick was working with the farmers against Vic Mignogna and Monica Riol and everyone like that, right? No, sorry, working for Vic Mignogna against Jenny Marshy, Monica Riol and everybody. But Nick would say, you know what, even if I get subpoenaed and I have to testify, I can say with honesty, I do not have a farm's account. And I think he's been holding to that for the longest time, and that's why he refuses to make a account, and also why he's trying to express this to the farms himself via Null as his little, hoping he would act as his mule carrying these messages to them. So it's actually kind of funny because my reading of the farms texts is that Null was fairly charitable to Nick. He didn't, obviously he had a bit of a laugh and made a bit of a giggle at what he wrote, but he seemed to portray pretty much exactly what Nick said, but made Nick look actually less foolish. By showing these texts, I think Nick just looks completely unhinged. And I think you'll see that for yourself in just a moment.
So here's the thing.
Oh, wait, there's a good message from our good friend Ethan Ralph. Kiwi Farms will produce deepfake AI body cam footage with ChatGPT audio. It's all rigged. Thank you, Ralph. How's it going down there in Merida?
I want to show you guys like what was said to Josh, because this is important to my cases. I want to show you guys what was actually said to Josh, because it's interesting. He calls me a liar all the time. Says I'm lying to him or.
Well, you lie all the time. You see, that's an issue. If you do lie a lot, people tend to call you a liar.
Gaslighting him or whatever. But then when he went to say what I said on forums, he just posted his own version of it. And I've noticed something about Josh is either he paraphrases things incorrectly or he uses someone else's incorrect paraphrase as if it were true. And I think that's what's been going on with him and me. And so I'm just going to show you the messages. So this starts on Saturday, August 3rd. He was talking about the body cam footage in my.
All right, hold on. We got some sunny pics. This is close to the one that I wanted. It's like this, but I want the full image. I want the full image. I want to see Rekieta's hand around it. I want this face, but on this body, basically. This is very funny though. I just want the original footage, the original picture of this, but with the dog's face and the text underneath. If only you knew how bad things were, and then we can hashtag save Sunny. in the chat. But yeah, that's the one. It's just I mean, it's very funny. It's very funny, I will admit. Let's continue.
A case, and people want me to like sign this release order, or they want me to sign a consent form for the body cam footage in my case, which I'm certainly not going to do at this point in time, and I'm not sure that it'd ever be appropriate. But
so it's just he's never going to sign the release form, which is, you know, personally, if I was in his situation, I wouldn't sign it either, because I don't want anyone making fun of my disgusting house. But it's a very strange wording to say that. I don't think it would be appropriate to just say you don't want to. It's okay to say that. Like, he's like, look, I don't want you to see it, so I'm not going to sign it. That's the truth. But he's like, well, I don't think it'd be appropriate now. And come to think of it, it's probably never going to be appropriate. Okay. Okay, buddy.
Here you go. And people can make all sorts of arguments or whatever, but that's fine. I'm not going to sit and argue with the internet about the propriety of that. You can call me whatever you want.
Yes, he is. That's literally what you're doing right now, is argue with the internet about the propriety of it.
It's okay. But here's what I am going to do. I'm going to show you guys what I said to Josh, because I think it's important. And I think it's really important to show you exactly what was said, because what Josh said isn't true.
Sonny's the dog, the little.
So here we go. I hope you can read this.
It's no chance you can read it. But don't worry, he's going to narrate the entire thing, so you won't have to worry about that.
So this is Saturday, August 3rd, 9:53 p.m. I said, hey, retard. Discovery is under protective order in the case. Me releasing it is a violation of that order.
All right, so right off the bat, this first sentence, hey, retard, always a very good way to try and get someone onto your side by berating them. And secondly, he says discovery is under protective order in the case, which I believe is true. Then he says me releasing it is a violation of that order. While this is true, it is also a lie. It's under protective order, so releasing it would be a crime. But they're not asking Nick to release the footage. They're asking him to sign a release, to consent to have it released. Now, what would happen if Nick did this? If Nick signed the release, it would not be an illegal thing to do. He would sign the release. They would now have a consent form to have it released. They would show that to the court, the clerks or whatever, and they would say, look, okay, you have a release for this, but it's still confidential, and thus we cannot release it. That's the only thing that would happen. Okay, so already he has lied in this very first sentence.
It's in the document you already have on your site, Learn to Read, which is the order that was leaked a long time ago, mentioned specifically that discovery is under protective order in the case. It said, suggesting I should do anything to affirmatively move the needle on releasing it risks me violating a court order. Try reading. So
I think Nick should try reading, because this is just simply is not true. If something is suppressed, if there's a gag order in a court case, you can say, I motion to the court that this be released because I think it will dispel rumors, or I think it'll be beneficial to my case. And the court can either accept or deny that. Saying that it risks violating a court order is flat out a lie and not true, as the chat is saying. And no, this is not the picture of Sonny I'm looking for, but you can keep sending me these dog photos. This one is also very adorable. That's a very adorable one. Sonny, no, watch out for that Baldo dust powder. Sonny, no. Ethan Ralph says, you honestly think righteous Rekieta hasn't thought this through? Couldn't be me, I guess. Couldn't be me.
Again, really quickly, people on the farms or wherever want me to sign a consent form to release body cam footage that is part of both my criminal case and my civil case.
Yes, that is true. We do want to see this footage because, well, we want to gawk at it, essentially. That's the truth. But Nick himself has said that it would be beneficial to his case to release this, and also that it's beneficial to every case to have transparency in the courts. But again, it's rules for thee, not for me, because he's a bit better. He's more important than you. His standards don't apply. Standards of monogamy that he says you need to be a monogamous family to raise a proper behavior, proper environment for your children, right? But then he goes against that and just goes into this degeneracy. It's complete hypocrisy at every turn.
But there's a protective order on discovery, and the civil case has since been sealed as
and
well.
Yeah, if the implication is that the cops are planting the coke, that would be on the body cam footage.
Releasing that, or moving to release that, or making any step for it risks me violating a court order. Now, you may argue, well, that's not violating a court order. I'm sorry.
Yes, I do argue that.
Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, when the government has you by the balls, and by the balls, I mean your literal offspring, you don't do anything to risk violating a court order. But it gets farther.
It's not a violation. It's a completely different thing. Releasing it and signing a consent for it to be released when it's moved from confidential to private is completely different. And he himself has requested that this be made private. So again, just admit, just say, look, I don't want you to see the stuff. I'm not going to sign it. That's all he needs to do. But he can't say that because it'll make his audience angry, the ones that still support him.
Than that. It goes farther than that. And we're going to get to that as well, because this is an amazing thing that Josh's myopia forces him to overlook the reality that people are in the thirst for more and more infos or whatever. So Josh, this is I found this curious. He says, we're not asking you to release it. This is funny because Kiwi Farms is not a monolith. I've said it a million times, but apparently they are now acting in concert, according to Josh.
This is the most audacious claim I think he's made in quite a while. The sentence from Josh reads, we're not asking you to release it. And he's like, where? Who's we? Who's we? The Kiwi Farms now work together. This is, I mean, all I can say is it's the audacity of it all, because you would have to be a grade A moron to not understand that we in this sentence refers to both Josh and the people that are interested in seeing it. There's some 2,400 people that signed a document that on like a change.org or whatever it was, those people that want to see it, like the almost 1,200 people in chat right now, the people that want to see it, the people that donated $6,000, that is the we. It's not Kiwi Farms as a whole. I think the people that are watching the Foodie Beauty or like the I don't know, the people that there's all these different, like, there's lots of different sections of Kiwi Farms, right? There's a lot of people that don't care about the Baldo Man, but the we obviously refers to those that do. And to try and go out on a point on this part of the this part of the messages, first of all, it's unhinged, it's audacious, and it's just blatantly a lie. Let me see. Let's see. So Josh explained he's referring to himself and his lawyer as we. Well, there you go. Even Josh has even explained it himself. But who reads this sentence and comes to the conclusion that Nick comes to, is what I'm saying.
Not me. He's speaking on behalf of everyone now, I guess. We're not asking you to release it. We're asking you to grant the government permission to release it. There is no issue with you signing a letter of consent. Well, there are issues. We'll talk about it in a minute. Your body cam footage is also discovered in your criminal charge. Great. It doesn't matter. If they're in both and one of them's under protective order, I'm certainly not fucking coming close to violating an order. It is part of the Chips case's discovery, but it's a part of the state's case in the criminal one. Okay, Josh, that's great.
All right, before he goes on his rant about we, this is a question for those of you who may still be in the bunker. If Nick has got the W, he's got the kids back forever, and the Kiwi Farms have been forever felted, and they're losers, and of course he was going to get them back because he's the best lawyer that we've ever seen. If he has them back now and the case is over, why can't he release the footage? If it's just for the protective case, it's just for the CPS case, but he's already got the case back, it's already over, it's already been a W, why would he be afraid of releasing it now?
Lamau, because when did Kiwi Farms become we? Josh, when was Kiwi Farms a we?
This is, again, so stupid. All right, let's continue.
Does anybody, I've heard Josh say a million times that Kiwi Farms is just a website that people come to. It's not a collection of people acting in concert. It's anybody goes there and just gossips. But now it's we. That's very fun to me. Like, because it's such a different Josh than I remember. Then he has a question mark because he doesn't get that he's just said we a whole lot. And so I go on.
I love this, by the way. This is amazing. He just posts one question mark, and then we have the Encyclopedia Britannica is posting it. This is the action of someone who's not mad. This is the action of someone who isn't seething. One question mark, and he posts the longest thread. Question? Oh my goodness. Exactly. They see that this incites rage and seethe into the Baldo Man. He sees it and he just knows that you have to be taught a lesson. It's so fun. Like, why would he release this himself? It's kind of funny because this is almost exactly the same format as Ron Conversations, you know? So back during the Vic Mignogna case, Ron Toye would message Nick and send him like these bizarre, unhinged rants, and Nick would just read them as part of his show. And it was very funny. Like, honestly, those were good shows. I enjoyed them quite a bit. But it's almost exactly the same format, but Nick is somehow not realizing that he's become Ron. He is the Ron in this situation. He's the one that looks unhinged. And I don't see what he's trying to accomplish here, except to make sure that this winds up on the farms, because I think this is always the intention, is that he wanted Null to post this on the farms for him so that he could call them retards without directly registering for a website, registering for a membership or whatever.
No one is asking me anything, and you're specifically ignoring just how monstrous of a machine court is. I tell you there's a protective order on discovery in a case where the government is concerned about the safety of children, and you want me to sign a release to show Kiwi Farms information about where those children live so it can be paraded in front of a group of infamous hawkers. Now, that was my phone correcting gawkers to hawkers, but...
You know, phones often autocorrect when you use that word a lot, so I wonder what hawk word Nick's been using quite frequently in his conversations. But this is just a complete non sequitur. The house's location is known. It's already widely publicized. The house layout is already registered with the county. The house's entire setup is already on Zillow. So you don't actually get any additional information about the house's layout from the body cam footage. This is just completely false. And the children would be blurred out entirely. That's what the court workers said. Well, I guess the Candy Ojai County Sheriff's Office or whatever. And that's what anyone with any decency would do if it came out unredacted.
Infamous gawkers. So you don't even listen to yourself and how absurd of a request that is. So now having quotes is a hypothetical, like a joke. It's a hyperbolic joke of what the judge would say to me if signing that consent form. Reminder that the state has your kids and they're like, well, we have concerns about parenting or whatever. And you're like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign a release form so that these weirdos on the internet could just see where my kids live. Like, that sounds good. Right? Right, fellow parents? just go
a weird
around.
Appeal.
I want you all to go around
What's
to
up,
any
fellow
parents, be like, hey, you have kids. Would you sign a release form to let the internet, like people on a website called Kiwi Farms, see your kids' bedrooms? Like, would you just sign a release form for that? Well, I mean, it was a police action, so you should sign a release form for that, right? That would be an insane proposition to most people, I would think, but maybe not to Josh. Like, I guess he doesn't think that way, and that's fine. Like, again,
well, no, this is misrepresenting the truth. Of course, I would never sign a release to show you what my house looked like. But Nick has said that the footage would be helpful in his case. It's in the best interest of every case that everything is exposed, and it would also show the actions of these mistrustworthy policemen that he never accused of conspiracy, and he never accused of planting anything. Surely he should want it to help his case if the government is indeed mistreating him. That's the argument. But again, he doesn't address that at all, because this is what he wants to be read to his audience. He's framing the situation in a way that tries to make his the few remaining fans that actually gobble up this tribe.
Help you. But so here's the quote that from my hypothetical judge. Mr. Rekieta, did you sign a release authorizing the state to share body cam footage with the layout of the home where your children sleep with an anonymous web board that I'm reading has driven people to suicide through ridicule? Now, I've said over and over, I don't think Kiwi Farms is responsible for the suicides, but that's the news bite that an uninformed judge would be like looking into, because it comes up every time.
I don't think they would actually, again, this is just a situation that would not happen, because he's not signing the release form for the Kiwi Farms. He's just signing a release form. It could be for anyone. It could be for just the matter of public interest. And again, there was a 500-page document that showed how many people were asking to see this footage. It is a matter of public interest. So it could be signing just for the general public interest. You don't even need to mention Kiwi Farms in this consent. You could just say, hey, look, I don't trust what the government was doing, and so I would like for it to be public. If you can't make it public because it's confidential material and part of an ongoing investigation, that's fine. But it is my wishes that it become made public in the future. But Nick has these like weird sort of legal like strategy tangents that he thinks is really, really clever and insightful. And just thinking back to the Vic Mignogna case, like he was like saying this crazy idea that they were going to introduce that Monica Rial worked on something called like panty and stocking underwear party. He was like, Nick actually put this forward as like a legal theory. He's like, Your Honor, we now submit into evidence. Jamie Markey, can you please explain to us what panty and stocking underwear party means? And how does this prove that Vic Mignogna is a bad guy? Like, he was actually saying this. It's just like, well, Your Honor, she works on a degenerate anime. This is a good argument. He actually said that. If you think back to the Mick Mignogna days. Again, Nick thinks he's very, very smart, and these are like ironclad arguments, but no one takes him seriously.
Every case is Kiwi Farms accused of having people commit suicide. I've defended this over and over and over again, so please don't come at me with your gayness. But that's what's going to be the mantra, because it's the mantra every time it comes up. So then, why, Mr. Rekieta, did you think sharing that information was a positive step for the safety of your children? And then, of course, here's my response.
Well, that's, again, it's misframing. It's not for the safety of your children. It's for the purposes of proving that the government is out to get you, which is what you're alleging.
Sorry, Your Honor, an illustrated dog who fled the U.S. because of reasons, and his army of lolly avatars to say the N-word a lot asked me to. The absurdity of a parent signing a consent form for people to get more information about their children and give it to the Kiwi Farms people is like, they don't even recognize like how that looks. And again, under normal circumstances, that looks insane. But
no, you don't say I'm signing the release to Kiwi Farms. You just say I'm signing a release to consent the footage. That's all you say. Kiwi Farms doesn't have to take, doesn't have to be the impetus for this, right? There's many people want to see it. And you have claimed that the government is up to shenanigans.
When the state is looking at you going, we need to make sure you're a fit parent and before we can return your kids, be like, hold on, let me sign this release form. Here, I want these other people to look at my house first and get the layout of it down. And, you know, see that stuff. That'd be good, right? Like that'd be responsible parenting.
I have the layout. It's on Zillow. Everybody can download the exact layout already. Now, the exact layout on Zillow is not going to be very helpful because you have to navigate the detritus and falling piles of laundry, or at least you did until your parents came and cleaned up the house for you. So even if someone had a map to your house, it's still an obstacle course of degeneracy.
No, it never would. But I'm just trying to help him out here. So then I said, Josh, sometimes your quest to make other people look retarded.
This is also a weird thing. Do you notice that? I'm just trying to help you out. This is exactly what Ron said as well. Like, he's trying to control the situation. He's trying to put forward this narrative and also, you know, dunk on the farms at the same time. But like, this is what abusers typically do, is they say, I'm doing this for your own good. I'm doing this to help you. And this is exactly what Ron Toye did when he was talking with Nick in the Ronsifications. He would say, hey, Nick, I used to be a bad guy. You know, I used to be a wife beater, but I read this book and it really helped me out. What's your address? I can send you this book, Nick. I'm just trying to help you out. They always do this. Always do this. It's so obvious.
Makes you unable to see how retarded you are. This isn't a joke for me. And despite your gaggle of happy, it's super good deductive reasoning. They've got it wrong. That's why my kids will be home soon. Now, granted, I said this on the 3rd. I was under the impression that my kids would be coming back on the 11th, but instead they came back on the 7th. Now, a lot of people on the farms, etc., have said that my kids were like never coming back or be an extremely long time, etc., etc., etc. Well, now they're coming back. They're like, oh, we always said they'd come back. Well, yeah, sure. That's fine. You guys had no way to know. I tried to tell you. I tried to tell you guys that you had no way to know. And I tried to explain the Minnesota law that specifically said why you wouldn't be able to know and that it wasn't even your fault. I'm like, yeah, these long-term case plans are.
I mean, that's not even true in itself as well, because like if you just look at the actual timing documents, it says 30 to 60 days, and he got them back in 60 days. Of course, there was a way to know.
Whatever that you
now,
see.
Nick may have. I'm somewhat surprised that Nick didn't tank his own case by just being involved in it. Like if he just sat there and shut up, he may have even got them back sooner. Who knows? Who knows, right? He certainly didn't help by objecting in court and, you know, by his own words, harassing the Alicia Sweep out of the court, which is something he does is like a recurring thing. But I think he mentions that later, and I'll talk about that a bit when I come to it.
Those are not actually.
To be fair, I do have it on 1.25 speed because it's a 40-minute video, so it's a little bit accelerated. I'll show you what he talks the regular speed, but I think 1.25 is pretty happy with everyone. What do you guys want? If you want 1, regular speed, normal speed, type 1 in chat. If you want 1.25, then I guess 1.25 in the chat. I think it's better a little bit faster, but maybe that's because you know, brain's moving too quick or something. Who knows? Because I'm a smart boy.
Dictating the flow of the case. They're required by statute as parallel planning to what's going on. But there's other shit going on that you guys.
We'll do a binding poll, okay? We'll do a binding poll. When it gets to 100 votes, then I'll make my decision of the speed we're going to watch this. But watch it one time for the moment.
I can't tell you. No one else can know. So when you saw these people like commenting, oh, this is what's actually happening, Nick's a liar. No, I was just telling you exactly what was happening, but I couldn't give you details about negotiations that were going on, about everything working on the parallel track that you don't get to know about. So I'm sorry, but I tried. I tried to tell you. But okay. So anyway, I knew when my kids were coming home because I'm the one.
He didn't. The thing is, he didn't even know when his kids were coming home because he said he thought they would be there on the 3rd, and they thought that they had them on the 11th, but they got them on the 3rd. So when he says, I knew my kids were coming home, that's just, again, he didn't know. He knew they would come home eventually, but I think everyone came to that conclusion, sure. But then he's like, well, I knew when they were coming home. You said you got the date wrong already. Another lie, just all the lies piling up.
One who's been doing it. A lot of these people out there still think that Lady Raggets and I were not submitting to drug tests, or that we had some way.
Again, this is reframing the actual reality. What happened is Nick and Kayla did a hair follicle test, and they refused to share that with the, I believe it was the Guardian Med item. Maybe it was Elisa Schweep. I can't remember exactly. But they did do a hair follicle test, which would have proven that they were on cocaine. Instead, they did not submit that. They were submitted to piss tests, which happened on June 7th. So over 2 weeks after they're arrested, plenty of time for them to clean out their systems.
Figured out how to plan the drug tests on our own or something. No, none of that's true.
1.25 speed
We've
it
been
is.
complying with drug tests ever since the court asked us to do drug tests. The moment the court said, I need you to do drug tests, we're like, all right, cool. Now, we didn't do a whole shitload of drug tests beforehand. You know why? Because they didn't ask us to.
Because you did one and it tested positive. But you don't want to admit that we don't want to admit that to your audience, even though it's weird because it's like nobody disputes that Nick wasn't on drugs between his audience, right? But I guess he can't, to be fair, he can't really admit it, I suppose, because that's probably exactly what Alicia Sweep's looking for. But nobody for even a second believes that Nick wasn't on drugs. Nobody even for a second doesn't believe that he wasn't engaged in this degenerate polycule when he said that it was the wrong thing to do to raise a family. Now, did the cocaine with the daughter's hair test, do we know about that? That's still up for debate. Personally, I believe the result because I haven't seen anything to disprove it yet. And again, this is one thing that's a little bit frustrating about the Minnesota Public Records account is they haven't shared every document that they have. And maybe in those documents, it comes up that they did another test because maybe the tests take 2 weeks or something. Because if we look at, let me see, where is it? Oh, by the way, somebody sent me the picture I was looking for. So thank you very much. It was, this is the sunny one I was looking for. So you can do your hashtag save sunnies now. There we go. That's the one I was looking for. This poor pupper. If only you knew what I've seen. Let me see. Where was it? I thought I had this. Hold on a second. Give me a quick second. I'm pretty sure that I have it somewhere. Here it is. Okay. So on May 28th, this is an interesting one. On May 28th, Nick says, also, I would like to indicate that the petition drafted by the county itself indicates that the children were in no knowledge of any drugs being in the home and were not aware of any use. Well, firstly, that's just not true, but I mean, he has to allege that, right? And any testing of the children that would result in a drug use according to the children, any testing of the children that would result in drug use according to the children would be because of secondary exposure. So on the May 28th, before the drug test is positive for his 9-year-old daughter testing positive for cocaine, he's saying, look, by the way, if any test does come back with the kids being on drugs, that's from a secondary source, like somewhere else. I don't know where that, maybe Aaron did, I don't know. But then on June 6th, which is the transcript we'll be reading from today, it says by Christy Barber, I think we're, let me see, it's a bit hard to read that one. It's usually easier if I read it on my second screen, actually. I think we're really early on in the case, yes. And we just got a hair follicle test, the hair follicle test back. So what is this, like, it's about just under 2 weeks, right? 2 weeks before the test comes positive for his children, Nick was saying, if one of the kids comes back positive, I don't know about that. It's not me. But then in this admit deny hearing is the first time a positive drug test is introduced to the court from one of the children. Now, again, maybe it comes up later in the documents that haven't been released, which is what's so frustrating. Explaining this away, like for instance, they could say, well, we got a test back. It takes 2 weeks to test. And then, June 20th or something, they come back and say, look, we tested them again and it was a false positive. It's very unlikely it's a false positive, but that would be something. Or they would say, look, we mixed up Kayla's and the daughter's, the label on the Kayla's sample and the daughter's sample. But if that was the case, if that is actually what happened, then why wouldn't Nick have said that or anyone have said that? Because it's such a simple thing to admit and it has no bearing on his case. He's like, look, early on there was a test of my daughter. It came back positive. That was a mistake. But they tested again and it was clean, pure, golden, nothing ever happened. Why couldn't anybody say that if it was true? But what they do instead is they try and discredit that the test should be admitted to evidence and also the testing procedures. And if we look at this, let me see. Hair testing overview. This is by Omega Laboratories. I think that's I'm not sure if that's the one. Wasn't it Minnesota Monitoring that got the test results? But the hair testing overview. Hair testing is the most accurate and effective method for finding uses of drugs of abuse. Using a small sample of the hair cut at the scalp, hair analysis evaluates the amount of drug metabolites embedded inside the hair shaft. Hair testing is a process in which hair specimens are analyzed for the use of illicit drugs. Omega Laboratory uses detection levels and confirmation methods that follow government recommendations. This type of testing is used for employment and insurance purposes. While some laboratories may take over a week to report a confirmed positive, Omega consistently achieves the same results in 3 business days. So it seems like if it was a simple mistake of being the wrong sample, they would have known in 3 days, right? Omega's turnaround time is based on laboratory-proven proprietary testing methods, which are a part of the intellectual property that is unique to Omega. This intellectual property includes the proprietary specimen wash method, which has been approved by multiple accrediting agencies as an effective means for removing external contamination. So again, this is from the inside the hair follicle, the metabolites, not contact exposure. So like, let's say, you do a bit of the powdered donuts and then maybe you kiss your daughter on the head. Maybe there's a bit of cocaine goes into her hair like that. This would not cause this to be positive. It has to be ingested and the body's reactions create these metabolites that they look for. Let me see. Unlike other longer washes, Omega's proprietary wash method does not inadvertently remove metabolites, which can lead to false negatives. Omega Laboratories is one of only 3 hair testing laboratories in the world to have obtained an FDA 510K clearances. When compared with other forms of hair testing, hair samples can detect a much longer period of drug use. For example, urine analysis can only detect drugs for at most 2 to 3 days. After this period, a donor will be free from a drug test. Again, this is important for the next one because his first drug test that was submitted to the court was on June 6th, and he was arrested on May 23rd. Test negative and slip through the screening process. By comparison, the industry standard is to test 1.5 inches of head hair for approximately 90 days of history. This is important in pre-employment testing, where most candidates are aware that a drug test might be required and can otherwise abstain accordingly. So you can't sneak around this one. So it's mind-boggling to me that no one has just come out and said, look, we tested again, and the result was different this time. Again, maybe those documents exist and they're being hidden from us at this moment because, again, while I do very much approve of the work of Public Records, it could be possible, to be fair, they might be excluding certain documents that are helpful to Nick. Not that I do trust Nick's side of the story, but I'm just saying this possibility does exist and we should be prepared for that.
I don't know what else to tell you. People are making big deals out of stuff that they've made up in their minds. And when I try and correct it and say, no, actually, we've been completely clean on all of our drug tests. You're like, the first drug test I submitted, yes, I tested positive for alcohol.
So there he just goes on to say, the first time he showed up in court, he tested hot for alcohol. Was this a morning test? Like, was he drinking late into the night before, or did he drink on the morning? He literally didn't abstain from alcohol until the government asked him to stop. He got his children taken away from his degenerate behavior, and he did not stop drinking. Well, why not, right? You may as well drink up. You may as well celebrate the kids are out of the house. And his own community said that they saw him driving while intoxicated. And if you watched his streams back when he was getting really hammered, he would be drunk till 5 a.m. in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning. And then he's like, well, I got to drive the kids at 8 a.m. That's not enough time to be driving sober. Just because you take a nap doesn't mean it clears alcohol out of your system, especially in those quantities. So he's absolutely driving while intoxicated. Now, did he have any accidents? No. But he's driving his kids around. He could be driving into other people that are driving their kids to school. Think about that. Didn't even quit after his kids were taken away. Until the government forced him to quit, he didn't quit.
That's because I wasn't ordered to not drink alcohol yet. That's it. Then on the 7th of June, the judge said, no controlled substances, including alcohol. Although that's not in my written order. Played it safe. No controlled substances, including alcohol. And you submit to random testing. We're like, all right, cool. Of course. There you go. Done. Our first drug test was voluntary. We brought it to court because we had a hearing. Anyway, long story short, that's how that went. But people still believe that there's a different story out there. That's like, no. Nick must not be doing this. Nick must not be doing this. Nick must not. Guys, come on.
When he was posting like the clean piss tests, I was pretty sure he wasn't doing any drugs. I'm shocked that he still was drinking up until this point. But I never doubted the veracity of the tests. Like, to be fair though, I did say that sometimes the alcohol comes up as a false positive on the cocaine piss test, but that was because I was giving him a little bit of. I can't even believe I was giving him the benefit of the doubt when he showed up with a hot test at court. I was like, well, maybe this test for alcohol wasn't really tested for alcohol, and the body does create certain things that can sometimes come up as alcohol, right? But he just straight out says it. I was drinking. Oh my god. Popcorn Power says, "Hey meme, the Quover is an opening. Will you drop? I don't know what this is. Tell me. You can tell me more about it if you want."
I know that this is the internet and everything's fucking ridiculous, but it's not that ridiculous. Some people are. And some people get like liar tattooed on their cheekbone or whatever, which I thought was bold. But
I mean, the Boogie shit is pretty stupid, but is it as stupid as what Nick has done? I mean, Boogie's a piece of shit and he's ruined his life, but he's ruining it by himself. I guess he's got his child bride as well, but at least she's an adult. She made her decisions to be with him.
Some people on the internet do have like real lives that they get a little over sensationalized, which I've told you guys a lot. A lot of my life is way over sensationalized.
Quaver is the name.
It's funny.
Kayla gave to the polycule. Is that right? I don't remember seeing that ever. Quover? Really? I mean, like quiver or something? Oh, I don't know. I honestly can't remember seeing that before. Maybe I did it. Maybe it just slipped my mind. But no, I'm not interested in a position for that. I thought it was like a show or something or a stream.
For a while until it's not, until it has real world impact. And this has had real world impact, and the jokes had to stop. But getting back to this thing, I knew my kids would be coming home soon. I knew actually the exact date. And
he knew the exact date they were coming home, except he said just like, what was it, a minute ago? I mean, with the pauses, it was like 15 minutes ago. But like he said, I knew the exact date they were coming home. I thought they were coming home on the 11th. They came home on the 3rd. But I knew the exact date they were coming home. Okay, good. Good job, I guess.
Again, someday I'll get to tell the story of how this played out.
Wait, okay. So was the Quover from this? Okay, that makes sense. If the Quover was from the Steel Toe morning show, that makes sense why I haven't seen it, because I don't watch that show. You should watch more Steel Toe. That's never going to happen. You could never convince me to watch the Steel Toe morning show. The only even exposure I've ever had to it is through Alyssa clips. And she sorts through the garbage for that one chocolate eclair that was left on the top that is still edible.
Because how it played out should terrify you. Yeah, I know. You're not me. It should terrify you. Because in this county, my case went fast. That should terrify you. That this was fast. Considering the absolute dearth of evidence and accusations that they had. I know.
Was it those 77 days fast? Almost 3 months. Your kids are like, well, this was so fast. I don't know how I got through this so quickly. Is that really fast? That seems like an eternity to be away from your children.
No, the internet has made a ton of accusations. Guys, the county doesn't accuse me of any of the stuff that you do.
Not yet.
Which is why the kids are back home.
For now.
So in light of this went fast. That should bother you. That should worry you to your core if you're a parent. Consenting to the release of that footage would be one of the most irresponsible things a parent could do. The fact that you don't see that should indicate that you are terminally dun. Just a second.
Oh, zesty Nick. If you're playing the zesty Nick drinking game, you gotta take a sip.
The fact that you don't see that should indicate that you're terminally connected to the internet and disconnected from reality. Peace.
Again, I have no other words to describe this, but the audacity of this guy. That Null is the one that's terminally online when Nick can't stop refreshing his page on Kiwi Farms. He reads the entire... How many pages is it? Let me have a quick look. It's almost 6,000 pages, and Nick has read every single page. Every time something comes up on the farms, as soon as it's posted, Nick will respond or send Josh a DM. He's glued to it. He's absolutely terminally online. Like, Elon Musk making the Twitter likes private was the best thing ever to happen to Nick, because every time he was liking a tweet where like Barnes was calling people retarded and blocking people, you could see Nick was like liking. He was all day on Twitter, addicted to Twitter, addicted to refreshing his Kiwi Farms. He's the most terminally online person that I've ever seen, and that's coming from me, someone who is actually terminally online. So when it's very unfortunate that just during this case that those likes became private, because some of them were really funny. He was basically liking anyone supporting him, even just random accounts and things like that, just going through and looking for anyone that's glazing him, desperately searching for that dopamine, desperately sifting through the Twitter. It's really funny too, because like one of the things that Nick used to make fun of people for, and I believe it was when he was doing the Ronversations, he literally was like, this person has 10,000 tweets? What a weirdo. Now look at him. How the mighty have fallen.
Which people like try to psychoanalyze peace. Guys, I've used peace as a send-off forever.
I think this was just Josh saying this. So Josh was saying like peace to him. Nick was saying peace, and it was like he was just disappearing. Nick does say this a lot though. So I think it was just Josh that was taking umbrage with the use of this, and it was kind of just an offhand comment, but he sees about that a bit as well.
So then Josh responds to me an hour later, and he's like, he said peace. Why did he respond? I'm like, Josh, you sent a message back.
That's actually not what he said. Like, he responds with a message that is it's unrelated to the word saying peace. He just mentions that on his own thread in Kiwi Farms and on the Matty show. So this actually proves that Nick is watching that shit. Because how would he know that Null was talking about that? Because it doesn't show up anywhere in these texts, his use of peace. This only occurred on the farms and on Null's show. Again, if Nick isn't terminally online, as he's accusing Josh of being, how would he know that? Do you guys remember when he had the locals chat first came out, and he was like, I can't fucking leave the locals chat. I'm in there 24/7 a day. He literally said that on his own show. He's like, sometimes I can't even get any shit done because I'm just in locals chat with all the wine mums. Nick said this himself, and now he's going to have, again, the audacity to accuse someone of being terminally online. This is absolute projection of the worst kind.
I returned your message. Anyway, so he says, then have April consent. So like, instead of me consenting, I'm supposed to have someone else consent by proxy to get around. Listen to what Josh is suggesting. I'm saying, hey.
Well, like, to be fair, again, Nick doesn't want this footage out here, so he's not going to get April to do it anyway. But that is actually a fairly reasonable workaround. If you do indeed want this to be public, which Nick has kind of claimed, but not really, like, and that's the idea, right? Like, he's like, I wish I could share this, but I can't. You know, if only the government wasn't being such a dick, then I would share this footage. If Nick can't do it because of the sense of impropriety it would cause in his own case, then a third party who was there, and of course any adult party can consent to having this submitted. So the Guardian, Alicia Sweep, any of the cops, that's probably not going to happen because it's probably being a proper thing to do, unless they were maybe, like if Alicia Sweep was saying, look, the cops really did plant the coke, so then I consent to have this. That's the only situation where it's going to come out like that. So the only real people in this situation that could do it would be Nick, April, or Kayla. And Nick has made strides to control both of these people. And I think that's pretty good reasoning for why April's still in the picture at all. Because I think any reasonable person would have escaped from the situation. But I think Nick sweetened the deal for her to stay so that she wouldn't turn on him. And initially, this probably would have worked because there was no charges against April. They were dropped after she was released, but they've come back now. So he has to keep her close to his, close to the Baldo as possible until the case is over or they take a plea.
Hey, Josh, me doing this would violate like a court order. He says, have someone else do it by proxy. That won't violate the order. Josh,
Even Nick doing it himself doesn't violate the order. Again, to be frank. Releasing the footage is what he can't do. If Nick has a copy of the footage, which he should because it's part of discovery, right? So if Nick releases it, yes, that violates the protective custody order, whatever it is, the confidentiality order. Signing a release is not the same thing. The court won't release it even if Nick signs this until it goes from confidential to private. And most likely that'll happen when it's introduced as evidence in their court date and it becomes a part of an active, or the actual trial, rather than being part of an active investigation.
Listen to yourself, man. Homie, listen to yourself. I don't want to violate a court order. So you're suggesting I have someone else do it for me? That doesn't make it okay to do. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I'll have, because I have control over her, apparently. Like, what?
Yes, he absolutely does have control over her. I don't think anyone doesn't believe that. It's basically their own mini cult that they've started. And I believe that he's trying to include more people into that.
Should I like use my puppet strings, or should I intimidate her? Like, what is your proposition here?
Nick does enjoy intimidating women, and I will mention that when it comes up, when he mentions it himself.
Just have her do it. Then it's not you. Fucking insane. But okay. No, Josh, very reasonable. Then have April consent. You are the one who said the footage would exonerate you. I didn't actually say the footage would exonerate me. I believe, it's a little fuzzy, I believe I said that there are things in the footage that may help my case. They may actually be things that break the case. I didn't
say it was going to exonerate me. I just said that it would show things that would break the case in my favor. Are you serious? Are you actually serious? In the same sentence, he's told a lie.
No, especially at the time I had said it, I had not seen the footage. I still haven't seen all of the footage. There's a shitload of it. But
it's like 50 hours. I'm sure Nick hasn't had free 50 hours in the last 77 days, but never mind.
This is one of those things where Josh takes something I said
and to be fair, it's basically 2 hours, but it's just that 2 hours repeated, I guess 25 times or whatever, because of all the different body cams and all the different recordings and everything. Then there's also like April and Nick's testimonies and everything.
Paraphrases it into a direct statement or accusation or whatever, but it isn't true. And it's the only reason I'm showing these messages is because he's done this multiple times now. And then people believe him and they say that he's credible and I'm not. Well, I'm showing you the messages because
Josh is fairly credible in what he says. I can't think of overt lies that Josh has said on the record. I'm sure there'd probably be something down the line, but from all I've seen is sometimes he has a weird opinion on things, but they're not lies. But Nick has lied dozens of times in this clip alone. So why would we not take Josh's word over Nick's in this situation?
The credibility here is critical. Josh has put in an affidavit that I have said things about the search of my house that I haven't said. He put it in an affidavit to the court.
Then, if that's true, accuse him of perjury. He swore under penalty of perjury as an American citizen. Maybe he lives in, I don't know, Serbia or something, but he has representation in America. You have said he has committed perjury, so accuse him of that. Josh is in his 20s. He's a young man. No, he's in his 30s, right? He's 31. Yeah. He was, I'm pretty sure he said he was 31 recently.
To convince the court of something, but I didn't say those things.
Quick recap. Let me see. Where was that? Let's see. Quick recap. Oh yeah, I'll give you a quick recap while I go get some more water because I'm a thirsty boy. This is your quick recap. I'll be right back.
I never thought I'd say this, but shouldn't we be
law-splaining the interwebs?
Say the line!
Interesting new matter of public record attached.
Yeah!
Oh, we're back. Oh, I should have muted. I should have muted my thing while I left. Must stay hydrated. Yeah, I went swimming. My voice is a bit sore today, so I'm trying to drink more water. I went swimming in the lake yesterday. You know when you're swimming in the lake and you're trying to stay hydrated, so you drink a lot of lake water? I don't know. After that, my voice is kind of raw. Did you wash your hands? No, because I went to get water, not go take a piss. That would be a quick piss. 1,200 people watching, but only 300 likes. Come on now, let's. If we can get over 400 likes, YouTube algorithm is going to send us out. Can we get half the people in the chat to like the stream? If you want to see more of this content, then show your support. If you get more likes, YouTube shares stuff out, then more people will know about the Baldo Man's lies. You have a duty to like this stream. All right, let's get right back into it. Yes, it was the brain amoeba lake. That's why my voice and my reading is even worse today. Big amoebas, like golf balls. That's very appropriate. Thirsty. Talking about water. I don't think I'm muted. I think you're lying. I'm not muted. You guys are actually triggering me now. Am I actually muted? No sound. Video is... Oh, fuck. I muted the desktop. I didn't mute... Okay, sorry. Not to gaslight the chat. All right, we'll go back to the beginning of this segment, shall we? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, you got me. You got me. You can take away those likes or you can dislike the video, but please leave them.
He's thirsty
There
for
we
the
go.
information.
I think we're back. Maybe I'll go back like that much. There you go. Hey, look, you don't understand. I had to deal with some pretty big brain amoebas. Okay.
Said he put it in an affidavit to the court.
Also, welcome
trying to convince the court of something, but I didn't say those things. I think it was either him reading someone else's misinterpretation or he just made a mistake. I don't think it's malicious, to be very clear. I don't think Josh is malicious in any of this. I think he's myopic. I think he's thirsty for the information, and that overrides basic reasoning. But I don't think he's maliciously doing it. But here we go. He says, you are the one who petitioned the court to seal discovery. Not true.
Let's check the record on that one. Let's check the record. Do I have this still? Actually, maybe it was one of the other documents. Let me see. Was it this one? Was it this one? No, sorry, that's not a document. That's a pug being exposed to cocaine. All right. This is a petition from Nick and his lawyer. This is the things that they argued. We've read this before, so I won't go down to it. But it says, issue protective order pursuant to Rule 307, prohibiting public access to this case proceedings and records that would otherwise be public on the basis that the father is a public figure, social media influencer with over 400,000 followers. Although by the time this case is resolved, he might be dipping under that. So we can do that 400,000 celebration party. The petition in this matter, including the unredacted names and the date of birth of the minor children, have been shared on social media platform, including YouTube, where it has had over 2,200 views, and the redacted version has had over 40,000 views. That's because they maybe got 2,000 views from Ralph's stream, and then 40,000 from Sean's stream or something like that. It's very funny. The people that are doing the redaction get more views. Very nice, right? But this is literally a petition from Nick on July 15th requesting that everything be sealed. So he lied. Just there, it's a lie. 28 views from Mersh. I'm feeling a bit like Mersh today. Female cop, gun drawn. Oh, God.
Actually, I didn't petition the court to seal discovery. The protective order on discovery in my civil case was proposed, guess what, by the county attorney. And my lawyer and Lady Rackets' lawyer independently agreed to it. It's in the transcript on your site. If you just read it, it's right there. They did it in court. And it's also in the order. So again, you normally would have no way of knowing this. Now you actually have a way of knowing this. You just didn't take the time to know it, which is fine, except now you're accusing me of doing this stuff. No. Anyway, Insinuating everyone you don't like is a pedophile is an ugly and ineffective tactic. Well, Josh, funny thing, I didn't insinuate anybody that I'm not liking is a pedophile here.
Literally said, why did you flee the country, Josh, and your army of lolicon avatar users? I'm not calling you a pedophile, but your site does have a lot of people, a lot of lolicons on it. Bit weird that you fled the United States, isn't it? Even though Josh has said that like he left the US because he was working in Australia, and then I believe the Philippines, and then he moved over to the Ukraine before the war broke out because of it's cheaper over there, and it also gets $100,000 reduction in expat taxes. And I believe he's moving back to America very soon, actually. So fled the country again. Is just trying to muddy the waters and say that things aren't as they seem. Oh, is this a true and real offer? Iron Rabbit says, if we get to 700 likes, I'll give 5 memberships. If it reaches 1,000, I'll give 10. There you go, chat. You got to earn it. There's a reward for you. You can get that juicy membership, which allows you to use all the emojis, like the Sonichews, and also Discord access, where you can get the exclusive, even though it's not really exclusive. You can just search for it. But let's call it exclusive. Ceiling cat diorama. Well, it's not really a diorama, but look at these adorable little guys. Don't you want this little ceiling cat in your own house? Watching over you, judging you? Like the stream, and you might get a ceiling cat from me.
But Josh does
in the
this
form of
all
a
the
digital
time.
download.
Go through the list of people that Josh used to like and who he doesn't like now, and look at how many of them he has called a pedophile.
See, this is the funny thing about integrity. If you like someone and they change into something that you don't like, you no longer like them. You don't just stick around with people that you hate because it's good for your analytics. That's integrity. And yeah, a lot of people have come out and started exposing that they're weirdos, and Josh is disassociated with them because of that. Keep in mind, the Nick still engages with and is friends with Dick Masterson and Vito. And Dick, well, obviously, all the other allegations about them aside, who are vocal supporters of the movie Cuties, which sexualized children. Nick said initially, any person that was supporting this movie belongs to be on the wall, that these people were sexualized in the creation of this movie. Now, while the purpose of the movie may be talking about the purpose of it may be exposing like actual exploitation of children, they exploited children to make the movie. Nick has thus far, well, since then, he has come out and said, Cuties, maybe not so bad. Maybe a bit more nuanced than I thought it was. He's really changed.
It's one of the most common words in his dictionary. This is an amazing case of projection from Josh. But notice in this conversation, I didn't call anyone a pedophile.
Oh my God. I didn't call anyone a pedophile, but you do seem to have a lot of lolicon avatars. That's a bit strange, a bit weird in it. A bit weird. The lies are just outrageous. Again, yeah, he is this is textbook projection of himself. But always accuse people of what you're doing yourself, right?
Josh did. Josh called
money changes people. That's the thing, is that Nick always had money. He likes to tell you his story about how he grew up in the poorest part of Houston. He was just like all the other black kids, right? There were gunshots going off every day. Every day a person was being murdered in his neighborhood, except his grandparents, literal multi-millionaires, hundreds of millions of dollars in oil. They're actual oil barons. And Nick has a trust fund. That's why when he was raising 5 kids, he had no mortgage. He paid off a mortgage while raising 5 kids, not having a job and going to law school. How do you pay for that? When he had no job for 2 years, according to the Turkey Tom documentary, which even I didn't know about this. And I was a long time watcher. I always heard him told the story about how he put himself through law school, but I never really thought about it. But when you put the things together, somehow mortgage-free, 5 kids, no job, and Kayla doesn't work. You know that. She's too busy watching Voyager or something. Literally, trust fund baby.
Somebody, pedophiles here, tried to make me do it, but I didn't do it.
So yeah, what I was going with that is, it's not about the money. I think it was the fame, the attention, people loving everything he said. That's what really changed him, not the money, more so the fame. It happens all the time though.
I said army of lolly avatars. Yeah, but I didn't call them pedophiles, Josh.
I called them lolly avatars, not pedophiles. Checkmate, atheists. Does anyone believe this? Does anyone gobble this up and just say, oh, that makes sense? He didn't call them pedophiles. He just called them lolly avatars. Every single time he does this.
You just have a bunch. There's just a bunch of lolly avatars. I also said you were an illustrated dog. Like it was just a pithy joke. Get over it.
That's another banger
insinuating
from
everyone you don't
the
like is a
comedy stylings of Rekieta.
pedophile is an ugly and ineffective tactic. Well, Josh, maybe you should have a helping of that sandwich.
Good job.
He says, I'll remind you, it was your cocaine and your child testing positive for cocaine who put you in this situation. Those are Joshua Moon's words. I haven't made any comment about this. I'm only reading them for completeness. And I'm not going to make any comment about that now. I have a pending criminal matter. He says, I and my forum do not share responsibility. It's my forum. It's mine.
He is the owner and operator of the Kiwi Farms. Why does Nick think this is an own? Josh admitted to owning the Kiwi. Like, are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Yeah, the thoughts of the people on the Kiwi Farms are not a monolith. Everyone doesn't agree with everybody, right? But no one has pretended for even a second that Josh isn't the owner of Kiwi Farms. He bought the site. What is he trying to say here? This is just unhinged.
Josh speaking on behalf of the forums again.
He bought it.
Rich. It's good. Josh, I'm glad you're finally coming around to this because for years you denied all of this. Like you were not acting.
No, this isn't like Null has said he can't control the users of the forum, which is true. And he has said that not everyone has the same opinion, which is true of anybody. To cast what Josh said in this light is either just completely brain rot or he thinks that people will believe him. I don't know at this point. Incredibly disingenuous.
On behalf of the forum, you're acting on behalf of you and the people do it themselves, but I guess it's collective now. So then I said, you're the king of insinuating people are pedophiles. I didn't insinuate anything. I said, are you having a retard action? Because I said lolly avatars. I said, also, like normal, your paraphrase of what I said is not precise. I said, peace, Josh. I hope you and your pedophiles have a good day. Josh called them pedophiles. I didn't.
Didn't he say, like, 1 minute, I never called anyone a pedophile? Peace, Josh. I hope you and your pedophiles have a great day. Josh called them pedophiles, not me. I was doing it ironically. It says it right on the page. I can't even believe this. It's like, the thing is, he lies so often and so frequently, you just sort of tune out. You just like tune out. It just becomes like garbage that you can't even process. Like normal people are not prepared for the amount of bullshit that gets piled. You just keep throwing. Eventually something sticks. Like, yeah, I did it. I won, chat. We did it. Game over.
But I'll go with the moniker. That's on him. So then he says, you are not as smart as you think you are. And I said, oh no.
So this is where Null's theory comes into play, where Null thinks that what Nick is trying to do is get Null to impeach his affidavit so that he can discredit it in the court. Again, I think that's a little bit too big-brained for Nick. I think it's just more simply that he wants to be right and he wants to be able to control the situation, and moreover that he believes that he has the ability to do something because he's a smart boy and can convince anyone of anything. That's why everything's always worked out for him so well, even though his kids got taken away from him because of his own actions. And also, I believe that he's trying. This is a message towards the farms as well, which is why it's so inflammatory from the very beginning.
It's fine. I hope I'm not as smart as I think I am. So then, today at 1:03 p.m., I said,
again, like he's double messaging him. Like the conversation stops. He decides to reunite the conversation because he's obviously not down bad for Josh.
Way. Very curious where you think I alleged police planted anything. And this is getting into the meat of the matter. Because I noticed that Josh said that I said this, but I didn't say that. Actually have specifically avoided saying that. I haven't said it at all. When people insinuated that I meant it, I said I didn't say that.
This is the game that he plays. It's just like I said, it's just a verbal hall of mirrors. It just implies everything. It's obvious to everybody. But then he's like, well, I didn't technically say that. But everybody understands the implication.
clearly not. I've specifically not said this. If I'm wrong, please, somebody let me know.
This is just weasel words, just lawyer behavior.
Because I'm pretty sure I've never actually said this. And I haven't seen anybody find it yet. I said, you put it in a motion supported by affidavit. Are you sure? You didn't just paraphrase something incorrectly and assume what I meant. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Or maybe you misread a retarded summary from a forum post. Who knows? So Josh said, you literally said that Alicia Sweep by name lied under oath. Yes. Yes, I did. And that did happen. It was not during the search, however. But Alicia Sweep did lie under oath. In fact, when we left the court hearing, I walked right up to her and I said, you lied under oath and you know it. I walked right up to her. I pointed at her. I said it to her face. I will say it every single day. Alicia Sweep lied under oath in Candy, Ojai County.
Do you believe this story? Like, do you believe that he actually went up to Alicia Sweep after the court case, confronted her outside the courtroom and said, you're a liar and you know it? This is some bullshit made up story. Like, oh, I was in the bar and I was carrying my beer and this guy bumped me and he spilled my beer. I went up to him. I pushed him and I said, if you don't buy me and the whole bar beers, we're going to have a problem, mister. And you know what? He bought the whole bar beers and everybody clapped and it was the best day ever. This is such a made up story. Such a bullshit story. But if it's true, then that actually shows that Nick has a behavioral pattern of cornering people, women specifically, that he fails against in court and then gives them a piece of his mind. So it happened with Judge Fisher. He said that as well. He said, like, Judge Fisher was a bullshit. And when after the court, I cornered her in the elevator and I said, look, Judge Fisher, you're wrong and you know it. And I'm going to get you for it. And then that's why he had to change the judges in this one. Apart from saying that she had, like, her pussy was full of alcohol or something. Something weird he said about that. I can't exactly remember it. But then he said, comes up to Alicia Sweep, corners her again in the court or outside the courtroom. More like, I was going to make a bad pun. Again, corners another woman. You lied under court. I'm going to get you, Miss Sweep. But you know what is funny? So very big man, very tough guy, cornering women outside the courtroom after he fails in the courtroom. Do you remember the story about when Nick went down to see Vic Mignogna's hearing in Texas? So Nick goes down to sit in the gallery of the Vic Mignogna trial, which he loses to such a degree that Vic owes $600,000. So I guess he's really glad that Nick was a part of his life. But Ron Toye showed up to that trial as well. And he was wearing like a wife beater or something. So after the trial, Nick saw, and Nick said this story himself. This is Nick's retelling of the story. They saw Ron Toye at like a donut shop and Nick snuck out the back. He was like, well, I don't want to get into any confrontations. Like, oh, that's just, he could do anything. Guys, like, I don't want, this guy could be crazy. I don't know. So corners women when he doesn't get his way, flees from Ron Toye. Flees, cowardly, running away. Interesting. Why would you tell this story? Why would you tell this story that you ran away from Ron Toye in a donut shop? I'm going to miss my flight if he starts a fight. Oh, I might not get back to my home. I might not get back to the bunker. I mean, I don't believe he cornered Judge Fisher. And I don't believe he cornered Alicia Sweep. This is just like his own brain headcanon where he's a tough guy. But it's funny that his headcanon that he tells is only against women. And then he like literally admits to running away from the wimpiest dude ever, which is, again, Ron Toye. An actual... Actually, I guess we've got no evidence of Ron Toye being an actual cuckold. He used to do the Ron Toye voice when he was playing Cuck Simulator. But it's funny because I don't think we've got evidence of Ron Toye being a cuckold. But then we actually have evidence of Nick being a cuckold. So I guess, like, what was the first thing he did when Aaron was balls deep in Kayla? He was like, it's just like in the simulations. Thank you, Team Sneed, for gifting me cuckold sim. Funny how that works. That's why I'm not going to touch that game. It's too risky. It's like the Solitude Medallion. It's cursed. It's very funny, Cuck Simulator. But I'm not playing it. You can't convince me to play it. You can't convince me to wear a Solitude Medallion either. Anyway, let's get back into it. But I just thought that was interesting, right?
100%.
Isn't that intimidating a witness? I don't know. It seems bizarre to me that he would be allowed to do this. I would think that, like, just in human decency, I feel like if you're in an adversarial position, like a courtroom setting, I feel like it's just bad-mannered to go up and start talking to the opponents, like after the, like outside of the court. It just seems unprofessional and potentially dangerous to your case. Like if Alicia Sweep goes up to the judge and says, look, this guy's harassing me outside the courtroom, there's no way that reflects well on your case. So I'm not sure if it's technically intimidation of witness. Maybe it isn't, but it feels really improper to me on both a moral and a professional level.
Said, the problem with all of this is that when there is no other witness than you and the government agent, you have two options. You have to live with the lie because no one's punishing her, or you have to testify. And testifying to counter the lie does two things. One, it pits your credibility against the government worker. Now, the government worker who works with the CPS investigator.
Well, I mean, you've already done that by saying she's lying. So why don't you go on the stand and say that she's a liar? Unless you're afraid of perjuring yourself because you know it's not true.
All the time.
But like you've said like multiple times that Alicia Sweep is lying. So you are accusing her credibility. I'm not sure. Only one of you can be telling the truth, surely. I mean, I guess both of you could be lying, but only one of you can be telling the truth. So why not just put it on the record?
Time, or the judge who works with the CPS investigator all the time and doesn't know you at all.
31 likes.
Where do you
Very
think that
good,
credibility default is going to go?
400 the threshold
Towards
for the first
towards the
bump
CPS
in views,
investigator.
hopefully from YouTube.
So I would have to go take the stand and say, no, Alicia Sweep lied about this thing. That didn't happen. And then I would similarly be opening myself up to cross-examination when I have a pending criminal matter. You just have to eat shit sometimes. I mentioned this with less specificity, but that's the way the system works. Sometimes you don't have the opportunity to call out a lie. Lies go by in court all day. I pray you're never in a position where those lies impact your children.
I have my own theory about when he's lying about Alicia Sweep. So Alicia Sweep's lie, according to Nick, is that when she went to the house, Nick brought her to the master bedroom and told her that she could not enter. When Nick says this story, he's like, you do not need to be in this room. So I think what's happening here, if I had to try and get inside the head of the Baldo man for a second and pontificate a bit, I think in Nick's mind, what happened is that Nick said, you're not allowed in this, or not, maybe not. He's like, he says to the Alicia Sweep, you can't come into you don't need to see this room. And Alicia Sweep takes that as like, okay, he's saying I can't come into this room. I'm not going to press the matter. And then in Nick's mind, he's saying, well, I said you don't need to come into this room. I didn't say you can't come into this room. Therefore, you're a liar. I think that's probably because based on Nick's behavior, I think that's what's happening here. Is he was like, well, I didn't specifically say you're barred from entry. I just said you don't need to see inside this room. And then slams the door in her face. I almost am certain that's what happened. And I think that if Alicia Sweep was asked about it, I think that she would say something similar.
I really do. Because it fucking sucks, man. You're powerless. You have to sit there. By the way, you can't, like your lawyer can't object. She lied. How?
Then why did you yell objection in the courtroom when you're not your own lawyer? Hybrid representation. Oh my goodness. You can't just yell objection, says man that yelled objection when he's not even representing himself. Okay. All right. It's a bold play, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
How do you show they lied? Well, you either have to get a witness up there or you have to have a recording. The recording has to be introduced by a witness. They have to be cross-examined. Sometimes you just have to eat shit. So here we go. He says, if you want to point out a specific...
That's the daily menu for Nick right now.
Specific paragraph in the affidavit you have an issue with, you can, but you're very obvious about what you're doing. Obvious. Josh, I don't know where you think I said this, but I didn't say it. And he's done this before to me. Josh will do this when I talk to him. He'll say, what do you want me to redact or retract or change or make a statement on? I say, Josh, I don't want you to make a statement about anything. I don't want you to delete anything. I don't want you to censor anything.
Yeah, but it's the implication. People understand the implications, right? So Nick sends a DM to Null saying, look, there's people on your site breaking the rules and saying things that aren't true, by the way. And Null's like, well, who's saying this? Can you tell me? And he's like, I'm not gonna make you do anything. I'm just saying there are some people breaking the rules, Josh. I don't want you to do anything. It's like, who's breaking the rules, Nick? Who's breaking the rules? Look, it's up to you. Obviously, he's trying to have the best of both worlds, right? Like he wants to be Mr. Free Speech man that doesn't block anyone from saying whatever they want to say, but he also wants to have his cake and eat it too and get those nasty Kiwi farmers banned for doubting the mind of the Baldo man.
And then he'll say, Nick tried to get me to censor something, or Nick tried to get me to change something. No, literally never
because of
done
the
that. It's
implication.
amazing how many times he has personally accused me of that when I do something like this. I'm saying, dude, you're saying something that's not true. Well, what do you want me to change it? No, I'm just letting you know it's not right. That's literally it. Do whatever the fuck you want with it. So here he goes. Everything I've said in the affidavit was true to the best of my knowledge and ability. Yeah, that's fine, but your knowledge and ability are lacking. Sorry, Josh. So then we go back to me responding to his Alicia Sweet thing. I said, she did. That was not during the warrant execution. It wasn't. It was after. I said, I'm just trying to tell you that I've not alleged the police planted anything, which I have not. You misunderstood.
I mean, we watched this clip. We'll watch it again. It's 20 seconds.
Deadpool says, you know why it doesn't matter if my home is searched? I don't use drugs and there's none in my house.
You know what's interesting is that you may not know what's in your house.
Woohoo! That's why you got to do a spring cleaning.
You may not know what cops bring into your house either.
You think cops brought stuff into your house?
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. Deadpool says,
What do you think the implication here is? I didn't say that. I think it's pretty obvious to even someone with a koala brain like mine, smoother than a chicken breast, your brain covered in ugly wrinkles, mine smooth and delicious. But even to me, it's fairly obvious what he's doing there. He's sowing the seed of doubt, implying to the audience, well, maybe it's the bad government, man. You hate the government, right? It's pretty obvious to anybody, even someone like me.
Understood or read someone's summary who misunderstood. When you're accused of being dishonest and the person accusing you incorrectly states what you said, it gets a little frustrating. Here we go. I said, you misunderstood or read someone's summary who misunderstood. I may have suggested multiple times over the years that no one should consent to a search because you don't know if police will even inadvertently place something. So, but I've made no public accusations regarding the planting of evidence. So maybe someone misinterpreted my explanation that police have to prove that I possessed what they alleged, and there are facts which make this issue complicated. There are. I said, Alicia Sweep lied, stating that I prevented her from accessing the bedroom and closing the door. That was a lie under oath. That was a lie under oath. A CPS worker named Alicia Sweep in Candy, Ojai County, Minnesota, lied under oath in the case against me.
What's the lie, Nick?
There's no way around it. That happened.
Well, the lie is she said I prevented her. What I actually did was say you don't need to see inside this room and close the door. I didn't prevent her. That lying bitch. No, come on now. This might work on his audience, but I don't think it works on anybody else.
As I stated, the downside of the system is that there was no way to counter the lie without testifying. Testifying would have been a bad move at the time. Very true. Very true. So Josh responds, look, mate.
I find this personally offensive, appropriating my Australian culture. What's next? Null's going to be throwing around cunts like he's me? Come on now. That's my word. Null doesn't have the shared history that we Australians do that make it okay for us to say that word. Americans haven't earned it. Okay? If we say it in our rap songs, the C word, that's up to us. Americans, you have to say, you have to use the soft U or something. I don't know. Well, let's just continue. Crikey. Indeed.
It's Australian now, apparently. You're a pathological liar. Oh, Josh. And you are blatant.
He is. He's lied. I've even lost count. I think it's like over a dozen times in this recording alone.
Engaged in.
Oh, this is a good one, though. You're having a giggle, mate. Yeah, I am. Less than 50 likes until we reach 100. Come on now, people. We only need 50% of the people watching to get over 600 likes.
Manipulation against everyone you talk to at all times for no apparent or good reason possible. And let me just go ahead and say this. If someone is accused of always manipulating people for no reason, I'll humbly suggest they're not actually manipulating people.
Hey, I want to re-listen to that again. Hold on. Notice he's still got his blue silicone ring, the ring you can wear when you're working out. And then on the other hand, he's got the two other rings. One of them, the black swinger ring. 3 wives. Well, he's got 2 wives, I suppose. Third one's still out there.
If someone is accused of always manipulating people for no reason, I'll humbly suggest they're not actually manipulating people.
Actually, you can see the ring really well easily there. Hold on. Let's go back frame by frame.
People.
We'll go back 10 seconds. More 10 seconds.
Say this.
Look at this. Look at this.
If someone is accused of always manipulating people for no reason.
There we go. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this chat. The black swinger ring on the Findex finger. And he's got another ring here on his other ring finger as well. I guess it's one ring for each woman, right? So he's got the black ring signifies swingers. Then you've got a ring on finger on each hand for each wife. But Kayla's got it. I guess Kayla gets the plastic ring and April gets the metal one. That's a bit sad. Look at that. So obvious right there. It's the black swinger ring. I'll show you what I mean. Look at this. These are some sinister pauses. Look at these faces. I mean, to be fair, it's always uncharitable when you pause any stream. Even me, I look very sinister when I'm paused. I'm going to use a private tab for this because I don't want this to show up on my search history. Let me see. Let me see. No, not shopping images. Whenever I open incognito tab, it opens in Japanese because of my region. It's like, you're in Japan. Surely you should want to use the Japanese one, right? Let's see if this actually loads. I got to preview this first, though, because, like, obviously, I might get in a wee bit of trouble. While it's loading, I'll keep playing the video, though. But just keep in mind the black ring.
I'll humbly suggest they're not actually manipulating people. I mean, you can believe whatever you want. I'm not here to change that.
Why does my search not work anymore?
I can't manipulate you into believing me. If I could, I'd be way richer. All right?
Again, this is just like, you hear this sort of language from anyone that manipulates. Like, if I could manipulate you, then I'd be much richer. Surely, right? As he's actively trying to manipulate his own chat. Is there no news here? Okay, good. Look. This is the ring. This is the black swinger ring. Those who know, those in the lifestyle will know. There you go. It's a real thing. I didn't know about this until I saw that black ring. Internet Guy with 2 says the swinger ring. And that's really nice. I like that. It rhymes very well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Why would I lie? And again, even just now he's saying, if I can manipulate you, this isn't even saying, like, it's just saying, like, surely I'm not doing a good job at manipulating, right? What is this?
Here's the crazy thing. Josh can never figure out what the manipulation is. It's just that what I tell...
No, Josh has his own theories about what the manipulation is. In the first instance, the manipulation is that you're trying to get him to delete people or ban people from the site that you don't like because they're breaking the rules and saying things that aren't true. That's the first thing that he's figured out. Second thing I don't necessarily agree with him in is that you're trying to get him to discredit his own affidavit, which is an interesting idea. It's the product of a mind that's always suspecting trickery. I probably wouldn't have thought of it.
Him doesn't fit his story up here. If it doesn't fit Josh's story up here, he can't fathom how it happens. But Josh is retarded. I love him. He's a lovable retard, but he is. His life is not a normal person's life, and that is fun.
Oh no, here comes the wee-woos. Can you hear him, chat? Another old person must have fallen down the stairs in my area. But did you hear this sentence? Josh is not a normal person. Listen to this again. Listen to this again.
I love him. He's a lovable retard, but he is. His life is not a normal person's life, and that is fun.
His life is not a normal person's life. Man who is currently in a throuple with pending drug charges, who had his children taken away from him from 77 days, who had it all and tanked his internet career. But Josh is not a normal person. He doesn't live a normal life, unlike me. What a wild thing to say.
Fine. But it makes him have trouble identifying with other people in real situations over and over and over. And that's shown through it's actually kind of a joke on the forum itself.
So Lewis asks, does it feel like he's talking to you when he says Josh, considering the similarities? No, because Josh is such a common name that I've been used to this for my entire life. It was actually very frustrating for me being named Josh. I didn't like the name when I was younger because every school that I went to had 3 Joshes in the same class because it's such a common name, or at least it used to. I don't know about now. I think it's pretty common. So I've been used to this my entire life. It is kind of annoying because it is kind of annoying at the moment, although I quite like the name now. But like now that I've started, I guess, engaging in this sector of the internet, it's like my own parents felted me at birth because there's already a Josh that's more important in this area than me. So that is a bit annoying, but you know, it is what it is. Although I usually like to go by Joshua instead. It sounds more important, I think. But people inevitably call you Josh, and you just got to go with it, right?
He just doesn't get it because he doesn't live in the world that other people do. He lives in a world of nastiness, of crazy, insane people, of antics that go beyond the normal bounds of human comedy. He doesn't live like, I mean, he doesn't even live like me, and I'm ridiculous. His is more so.
And that's the first true thing I think I've heard. That I can't. There's no other way to take that. This is true and honest. This statement.
All right. He goes, yeah. Apparently manipulating everyone all the time. Nothing you tell me will ever be taken at face value. And in this instance, it's just another obvious lie that makes me roll my eyes. Notice what Josh hasn't done. He has not found the instance where I have said what he says I said.
That's incorrect. Josh said that you accused Alicia Sweep of being a liar in his affidavit, and you did, and you would repeat it on this stream. So actually, Josh was very quick to find that. But again, if you say something with enough confidence and you just keep lying, piling them on, maybe not your audience, but like people will believe you because people are just not prepared to deal with this amount of bullshit. It just kind of overloads their circuits. Just keep pushing the lie, and eventually someone will believe you. That's what Nick's going for here, I think.
He says, I know you think it's very, very clever to continuously imply things so you can backtrack what you said immediately. Like that time you were talking to some blonde woman and basically said the government plants evidence all the time. The government.
Hey, that's Chrissy Meyer. She should change your channel name. Some blonde woman. Although I think she's a redhead, so I guess Josh isn't always correct. So I guess rack up another W for the Baldo camp. Chrissy Meyer, not actually blonde. Or maybe she dyes it, I don't know. I'm pretty sure she's a redhead.
Plans for evidence all the time. They do. It's news story after news story after news story. We find it over and over and over. And he says, when she directly asked to confirm if you were saying that happened in your case, which was an obvious follow-up because it was plain that you were implying that, I wasn't. I was simply saying why you don't consent to searches ever. He says, you backtracked it immediately. I said, I didn't say that. I've never said that because I didn't and have never said that. It's amazing. He's like, you told the truth. Yes, Josh. It's like, see? So your truth was a lie because you meant it to be. No, Josh. You needed it to be.
This is the verbal Hall of Mirrors, by the way.
But I never said that. That's the whole point of all of this. He says, you do this continuously. You insinuate through gritted teeth. Oh, shit, I didn't get the more. I'll read it to you. The more says, I mean, maybe I'm hiding something. You insinuate through gritted teeth that XYZ happened, and it was a knowingly malicious and deliberate effort by a state actor to accomplish some evil deed at your expense. Then when pressed, you look away from the camera and say, well, I didn't say that. Except I don't do that.
Except he does that every single time.
Again, it's amazing because for his thing to be right, his premise is that requires me to do the thing that he needs me to do. It's very circular. I have to be making the implication to then deny the implication. But I'm denying the implication because I didn't make it.
The implication. He absolutely made the implication, by the way. Okay, says, do you think he made the we thing as trying to establish Kiwi Farms as a single entity for defamation suit against Josh? No. This is basically Nick's Chewbacca defense. He tries to focus on something ridiculous and use it as a W. His case is so fucked that he has to latch onto these things which he thinks are victories because he's like, aha, I caught you. That means you're wrong in everything. Wrong in one thing, wrong in everything, right? That's what he's trying to establish, I think. He thinks it's a big dub, like a big dub for him, but it's just not what he's saying. It's honestly bizarre. And he's trying to establish that I guess Josh just doesn't know what he's talking about, or Josh has gone back on his words or has changed over the years. I think Null's been fairly consistent on most of his takes. But it's a very weird argument. I think he's just thinks that if he gets one win, then he's just gonna everything makes sense to or something. I don't know. It really is boggles my mind. If you have a different explanation for it, then I'd be happy to hear them though.
So anyway, he says, I'm not one of your children. You can't lie to me. Oh, dude, my children are way better lie detectors than you are, Josh. He said, Josh, the hardest thing for you to realize one day is that I don't. So please go back and find me actually accusing the police of planting anything in my case. Now, Josh ran to the forums again right after I sent him this, and he said, Nick dared me to do it. No.
Don't dare people on the internet to do anything because they will accomplish it out of spite. This is one of the worst moves you can ever do. Like, just anytime you say, bet you can't find out where my house is, like that sort of thing. They're like, was that a challenge? Then you give them a reason to do it. If you just don't taunt the internet, they'll usually leave you alone. It's kind of funny how that works. But if you say to someone, and especially a group of thousands of people that are actively gossiping about you, I prove where I said this, they will find it.
I didn't dare you to do anything. Jesus Christ, man.
He says, I didn't dare you to go do anything. In this text, it says right here, please go back and find anything actually accused. He said, please go find. That's not a dare. Please go find it. Oh, I didn't mean for you to actually go find it. Just please go find it. Okay. Okay.
So please go find it. He says in his affidavit, sworn under oath, to be truthful, that I said this, but I didn't say it. Like, please go find it. He says, I will. I intend to compile a list of every time that you implied that someone from the police department did something wrong to you. Knock yourself out, I guess. You've been doing it since your first stream out of jail.
I have a jar of Vegemite in my house, and I am prepared to do that for the right price. Actually, it's been in my house for like 2 years. It might be bad by this. I mean, there's so much salt. I don't think Vegemite ever goes bad. If it's, I might do a spoonful of Vegemite right now just for fun. I don't even need to be paid for it. I like Vegemite.
I'm going to have to do this anyways because it's the only way to justify getting the body cam footage released without your consent, and you've got April locked down. Yes, shackled to the floor, unable to move. She's not even a real person. She has no will, Josh.
The funny thing about this statement is it's entirely possible that April is just bolted to the floor, but not like with bolts, like actual bolts, but like with like bondage or some shit, because they're into some weird shit, and she's the corner demon that's in every corner. She's probably listening right now, which makes this quite funny. So it's not beyond the bounds that she's actually tied up with like a vibrator or a baldo in her ass or something right now listening to the stream, because they're into that weird kinky shit. So when he says these things, it's like when he's tacitly admitting to think, like when he said like, yeah, we went to a swing of paradise. This is the swinging tub stream. Is he just admitting that he's actually got April in the room right there, right now? Almost feel like it is. It feels like one of those things. Iron Rabbit gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Iron Rabbit. I will post a new Discord private link after the stream on the community tab of this channel if you want to join the exclusive Discord where you can get instructions on how to build these shoulder cats. Well, ceiling cats, but I've got one on my shoulder. I originally put them on my wall back there, but it's so far out in the bokeh that it just looks like a blob. This one, I like this one on the curtain. It's just like you kind of make it out. It's kind of adorable. They're really cute, these shoulder cats.
And don't even try that. You've been lying about who you were and what you stand for since the first time you cut on a fucking camera. I think he meant put on, got on. I'm not sure. Look, my phone fucks up all the time. I'm not criticizing him. I said no.
Especially in the shower when you get water droplets on it. That's when their phones fuck up the most. Like that's terrible.
Nope. Other people project onto me. That's not my fault. That being said, I wish you well in your endeavors in regards to finding those accusations. It's true. I wish him well. And so here we go. Let's get the rest of this shit. So finish with the accusations. There's only one screenshot that matters because the other two you've already seen. It's just a repeat of the earlier conversation. We'll skip those in a second. He says, thanks. And I said, Josh, are you lying intentionally or just chronically imprecise? And then I screenshotted his post. He says, King Baldo has again reached out. King Baldo, God, I wish. Through a system of ropes and pulleys to declare the following. Here's what he paraphrased into. He has never said the police did anything wrong during the execution of the search warrant. That's actually not what I said, and that's not true. I believe I've said they've made mistakes. I haven't said anything about what they are.
All right, so let's verify this statement, shall we? Where is it? That is from this folder, August. It was the second null text, right? Second null one? Missive, this one. So this is what he's reading right now. King Baldo has reached out again. He has never said the police did anything wrong during the execution of the search warrant on his premises and both dares me and wishes me luck in finding evidence to the contrary and to support a petition to the Candido High County Sheriff Department. Nick literally said when he received the warrant, this is bullshit and you know it. He said that. It's on the transcript, right? This is bullshit and you know it. He has never said the police did anything wrong, but it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. Okay. There you go. I proved it right there.
But I did not say they haven't done that they did nothing wrong. I just said they didn't. I'd never said they planted evidence. This is what Josh.
Yeah, he never said it explicitly, but he's implied it all over the place, and he's got other people to imply it for him as well. He reached out the second he got his kids back, and he could convince people that, well, surely because I got my kids back, that means I didn't do anything right, which doesn't make sense, because crack addicts get their kids back. That does happen. In fact, they work. The guardian ad litem works to get the kids back in their house. In the documents that will be after this video. I'm pretty sure they're in there anyway. We'll have to see. But the second he does that, all the capos start to come back. They all start to support him again with their little press releases that he's got ready for them. Just forget about all the things he did, get back in line, and everything will be fine, right? You do the implications for me. Sonny does show up in this.
Josh has done. He has shifted the language and
if
moved
only
the
knew how bad
goalposts
things were.
to make his lies version into a form of truth. Because he can't be. He had all these messages. He had them. But his paraphrase is imprecise. And it's really important because, again, Josh put under oath, swearing that it was true and correct, that I said a thing that I haven't said.
You said Alicia Sweep lied about you in court, and you said that on the same stream.
He did that through his lawyer. I didn't do that to him.
Yeah, poor Sonny.
I sent him a message.
Save Sonny, or SS for short.
But he did this.
Sonny.
And then when I say, hey, John, I didn't say that. Now he's like, he's changing it, and he's changing the language that he used. It's amazing. So he goes, search warrant on his premises, and both dares me and wishes me luck in finding evidence to the contrary to support a petition to the Candy County Sheriff's Department. I said, this is not what I said. And I also didn't dare him. I did wish him luck. Or I think
you said, please go find him. That is a dare in my books.
I wished him well. I wished him well. I didn't even wish him luck. Very imprecise, Josh. How embarrassing. All right, here we go. Let's get to the next one. I'm going to skip the screen grabs. This is the last one. Okay? So we can stop the suffering soon. Okay, so I got to get the whole thing just so people know.
I think the suffering has only just begun.
Like,
but you're going to have to listen to me read soon. And that's the worst part of the stream.
Grabbing some other fucking conversation or something weird. Should I get accused of these days? So here's the screenshots again. Back to where we were. He says, can you give me a quote then? What? Are you a newspaper? You're going to publish a quote? I said, I also never dared.
I mean, he kind of is. He is kind of a journalist at this point. He has his own stream where he gets thousands of live viewers. He's got his own website where interesting matters of public interest. Well, that's a double one, right? But yeah, he kind of is. He kind of is a journalist, like amateur journalist at this point is fairly accurate description of Josh. Now he does it for the memes, I assume, but yes, he is.
You to do anything. Then he puts a screenshot. Please go back and find me actually accusing the police of planting anything in my case. He said, I'm literally asking. I'm not taunting or daring you. I know what I didn't say. If I messed up somewhere and alleged that, I would want to know. We both have an interest in that allegation. So look, man, I've literally only ever contacted you for your own information. You've suggested multiple.
I'm doing this for your own good, boy. It's just for your own good information. It's interesting. The similarities between this and the Romversations is just staggering. Why is it that these manipulators always say, I'm doing this for your benefit, when this could only be for Nick's benefit? How does this benefit Josh by telling him these things? It's ridiculous.
Multiple times that I'm demanding a retraction or correction. I always tell you no. Trying to convince someone else to correct the record for an internet audience is nonsensical.
Then why are you trying to do it?
Joshua Moon. I don't like doing that. I really don't.
I don't believe him. My theory about this, so obviously Josh's theory is that Nick said these messages to try and trick Josh into saying something he could use to discredit his affidavit. Again, I think that's a bit too big-brained. I think the reason behind this all was that Baldo thought he could convince people with his own intelligence, and because he has to control the record, has to correct the record, and has to get his words to the Kiwi farms, and he was expecting Josh to post these immediately. And he was very upset when he didn't. That's why he had to post them himself, so that he knew that the Kiwi farms could actually learn them eventually.
But dude,
muted?
the guy just fucking lied about what I said. He lied about what I said in his affidavit that he filed with the court.
No,
And then when I'm like, hey, dude, I didn't say that. He's like, haha, you did. It's like, where? Sorry.
The thing is, Nick was a journalist himself, essentially. He was reporting the news and he was reviewing cases. That's journalism. He was doing investigations. How is it like, if you want to like, obviously there's like the, well, he didn't go to journalism school. He's not working for a paper. To be honest, live streamers are essentially the new journalists. I think that's a pretty fair argument to make, especially if they're currently covering trending topics or newsworthy topics. How is that not journalism?
I don't know what else to do, man. It fucking sucks. But hey, this is the nature. This is how Josh has chosen to do this for years, by the way. Conversations like that are why Josh has been mad at me.
Oh yeah, Josh is mad at you. I see. You can see him seething in this pause. This is the man that launched 1,000 seethes. Oh my goodness. Again, confession by projection. Interesting.
Because when he would say something and be like, hey man, that's actually not right. You go, do you want me to correct it? And I'd say, no. Do you want me to kick someone off the forums? No. Well, who's violating the rules? Josh, I don't do that. Like, I'm not asking you to do anything.
Then if you're not going to tell him who's violating the rules, why are you saying people are violating the rules?
And then he'd go on the forums and say, oh, man, Nick's asking me to censor stuff for sweep it. No, never have I asked Josh to take anything off the forums. I've never asked him to issue a retraction. I've never asked him to correct a statement. Not once. Every time he said that, that was Josh lying or misunderstanding. I'll even give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's just literally retarded. But it sucks because that's who Josh has become.
Yeah, Josh is the one that's changed.
It's how
over the
myopia
years.
that does it.
It's wild to see the differences between the two Nicks. It's insane to see the difference. And he's going to accuse Josh of being the one that's changed. Nick is almost unrecognizable from the person I used to watch. It's mad.
Myopia is the same thing that fuels cops, and it's the same thing that fuels local government workers. That is
really
what
in love
gets
with this
people
word,
in the
isn't he?
system and keeps people in the system.
Myopia.
That myopia is what takes away rights.
He said it again.
Josh has a
He said the
story in
magic
his
word.
head about what must be, and facts that don't fit his story get ignored. Any little thing that comes close to his story gets overemphasized. It's confirmation bias. Confirmation bias runs the court system in the United States. The criminal justice system has some protections built into it. They do.
If he says myopia one
The
more
family
time,
court
I'm
system
going
does
to play
not.
the train whistle.
The family court system has a reduced
There's no
ability
way he says it
to
again.
protect your
No way.
rights.
No way.
It's a civil case. So when you exercise your Fifth Amendment rights, the court is permitted to draw a negative inference, where in a criminal case, they can't. That's one of the very basic ones. They get to draw negative inferences from you protecting yourself from criminal prosecution. Sucks. But here's the thing. When a worker whose job it is to determine the safety of children, for example, gets an idea in their head, not facts, but an idea in their head that there's a dangerous situation or environment or person, and they genuinely even want.
It wasn't just this idea, this crazy idea that came into Alicia Swoop's mind. You had multiple people, court-mandated reporters, teachers, pastors, Sunday school people, Kayla's own sister reporting that your children were hungry and smelly. They were complaining of not having enough to eat. Aaron was giving them SpaghettiOs, coming and knocking on the door because you guys are all too zonked out in the big bed. The big Minnesotan king bed. Sleeps 4. That's why they came to your door. And when they came to your door, they found the drugs. And not a little bit, a lot. Okay, did they just plant that? 26 grams. That's quite a bit. Ketamine tablets, or reketamine tablets, I should call them. And then when they tested your children, one came back positive. And there's still no explanation for that. I'm still hoping that result is somehow fake, or it's somehow someone else's result and the names got switched, the label falls off and the lab sticks the wrong one on the wrong one, something like that. I'm hoping that's the case. But I have seen nothing to disprove that test thus far. And you have said nothing about that coming back as a false positive, or that they did it a second time and it was free, the second one. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want you to say. But it's just some crazy sweeper in the county, right? Alicia, sweep it up. All right, sure, man, sure.
Want to protect children, they may be protecting them from a fantasy. The problem is trying to convince them that their fantasy is wrong. Because when you present them with evidence that their fantasy is wrong, they literally just ignore it. Or as happened to us, throw a tantrum because the evidence did not say what their fantasy said. And when we presented it,
you sealed the evidence. The evidence did not say what it said. By the way, you can't see the evidence. It's for the Baldo's divine eyes only.
To them.
Oh my God.
They were angry.
The evidence.
Not at us. They just thought the evidence had to be fake. It had to be something else. It had to not be real. Because their story up here mattered more than the story that was actually in front of them. That's what myopia does. That's what that...
He said the magic word! I wasn't prepared for that. Like, I literally thought he wasn't going to do it.
Single-mindedness does. When you're unwilling to consider facts that are contrary to your fantasy, you become unreliable to yourself. I'm sure I have done this a million times. It's a natural human thing.
Yeah, he's
we're supposed to guard
projecting.
against
He's
it.
absolutely talking about himself.
The internet breeds circles where the checks on that go away quickly.
That's a good one.
And tons of people have been on the receiving end of it. Thank God most of them don't have their families impacted. Anyway, with that, there's a very apropos super chat by Drex is a Niger pedophile groomer. Interesting name, I guess. The message was deleted, but I really wish it wasn't deleted. The message said, interesting new matter of public record attached. I don't know why people think I'm like afraid of that message. I'm guessing the Minnesota Public Records account that has been sharing documents on Kiwi Farms has shared the second half of the court transcript from June 7th.
Say the line.
Okay. That court transcript on June 7th was on June 7th. That case is now resolved. So all of the summaries and surmises and philosophizing and predictorizing that happened.
I can't believe Nick said that in court. What was he doing?
Better than...
So he's trying to a bit of a dig at potentially Sean there. Notably a man that is a practicing lawyer and also hasn't been raided for coke and had his children taken away. So I guess it's a big W over him, right? Yeah, it really showed him.
You think, actually. But all of the predictions and all of the nonsense about that, guess what?
That's what I'm gonna start calling him now. Actually, lawyer Sean.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a good one.
You weren't correct. You looked at dollar signs and decided to discard truth.
What is this idea that because it's like news, so Sean's only covering this because it's going to get super chats or it's going to get views? No, people cover topics that are interesting that people are requesting, right? People love these streams. People loved it when you talked about Johnny Depp's dirty laundry. People loved it when you talked about Vic Mignogna's dirty laundry, right? You didn't have a problem with it then. You didn't have a problem with people covering those topics, but you have a problem with people covering your topic now that you finally had your turn. Interesting how that works. Very interesting.
You put your credentials up as evidence that you would be right.
At least he has some credentials.
You're wrong.
Well, we'll see.
Funny thing was, I was telling you it was going to go differently, but you didn't listen.
It's not over, Nick. It's not over. You haven't even had your criminal case yet. It's like, well, I told you it was going to turn differently, but you didn't listen. You still have, well, you're down to 3 court cases now. Wow, just down to 3. Amazing. And even if the kids are back home, it's most likely a trial placement. So they're going to see if the family can look after them responsibly. That means they're going to be checking in. And if you don't meet the criteria of being a good father this time, they'll take him away again for longer. It's not over. It's only begun.
I'd say egg on your face, but you'd eat it. Anyway.
So actually, Alyssa Clips was very charitable to Nick by editing out how long it took him to think of that joke. There was a massive gap of time. It was like 15 seconds of silence before he said, "Oh, egg on your face, but you'd eat it because you're fat." Haha, gotcha, got him. Yeah. These pauses that like there's so these faces are so memeable. Oh my god. His hope and optimism gone.
Look, I mean, if Minnesota Public Records released the second half of the hearing transcript from what, 2 fucking months ago on the case that's over now.
Well, very frustratingly, they didn't. They only released another portion of it, but we'll check it out. Fortunately, though, it's not too long, so we had to get through it in a timely fashion. Well, at least as timely as possible, right?
All right. I hope you enjoy reading what I knew a long time ago.
Okay.
I don't have much else to say.
What kind of thing to say is that? Hope you enjoy reading something that I was a part of. Like, yeah, of course we didn't know it because you're trying to suppress everything. Okay, buddy. Again, that's on Alyssa Clips channel if you want to see it. She's posting some pretty good clips these days. She's actually very charitable clipping me as well. She edits out a lot of my pauses, a lot of my dumb comments because honestly, I'm a bit of a mush mouth. But I notice when I watch my own clips on her channel to see what people are saying is that she cuts out a lot of the dead air, which I appreciate. Thanks for that. All right. So interestingly, Nick's own local audience doesn't believe him very much. There's a few choice excerpts from it. Whoa, Nick, you're so good at improv to just come up with what Josh said that there was what Josh said there was so smooth and flawless. You liar. These are paying local supporters, by the way. Nick definitely suggested they planted it. Not even his audience believes this. Not even them. Nick, you're a lawyer. You say things without saying it. This isn't a court of law where we have to pretend that you didn't get the message, that you are putting it out there by not technically saying it. What do we got here? First stream after the arrest, he spent the entire time suggesting the police planted the stuff without explicitly saying that they planted the stuff. I predicted that he would try to deny it by saying, by using these weasel words. He's pretty retarded. There you go. There you go. We'll get into the new docs in just a second. Snicker Booters with 5 says, is it just me or does he look like a zombie with a sunburn? Something uncanny valley about his skin. It's pale white and red at the same time. It is. It is. I don't know. This photo makes him look like he was working out at the library. It's like a Megamind photo. With Sunny, poor Sunny. Look at there. Look at that. This is this is when this is like his first stream back, I believe. And people are saying, "Show us that Sunny's still alive." And he went to go get the dog that he absolutely loves. The way he's holding this dog looks like terrified. It's funny. Now, fair enough. Pugs do look pretty silly at most times. But I just got to laugh. I just got to laugh at the way this photo comes out. It looks so sinister. The dead beady eyes, the bags under there, getting old, the receding hairline. And not that I'm one to judge, but you know, it is what it is. The dog looking like looking like a kidnapping victim. This is like this photo you send to someone, but the caption would say, if you want this dog back alive, you got to send $1 million in unmarked 5s or something to this location. Don't need that anymore. Actually, no, we'll leave that up just in case I need that Chrissy Meyer clip, but we'll just put it over there. Ah, fuck it. It's taking too long to load. All right, don't need that anymore. Time for the midstream shillathon with the Dragon's Treasure. That's right. This is not actually sponsored, but I do believe I get a kickback on this. I had this prepared and now it's all gone to shit. Where is it? Look at this. The Dragon's Treasure. Use code COPE for a 10% discount. Mr. T-Man told me that this code is still active, even though I've only sold 1 tea bag in the entire year that I've had this available thing. Did you even know I sold tea? Look at that. I got $10 from one of you. Thank you very much. Why don't some people buy some tea? I'm desperate here. Use code COPE. No, but for real, like jokes aside, the T-Man does a lot of good work, and he's a man that put his own financial interest at stake by coming out and saying that Nick was a shithead. Dragon's Treasure was greatly enriched by being pro-Baldo, and he went out and wrote and recorded a video saying that the reason Well, the man that Nick was is no longer. So let's take a look at today's tea. We'll get the apple cider tea because I like tan girls. I like the brown girls. There you go. Look at that. It looks delicious. Herbal tea. The taste of apple cider brings us an amazing treat. Packed with a delicious apple cider taste mixed in with their own special kick. Try this uniquely tasting herbal infusion with apple pieces, cinnamon, rose hips, orange peel, clove, elderberries, green rooibos, and natural cinnamon flavor. That's a relaxing tea. That looks delicious. Go to thedragonstreasure.com and use code COPE for perhaps a 10% discount. I don't know, because it's been a year and I've only sold one. All right, let's continue. Let's continue. There you go. There you go. Let me see. All right. So this is a continuation of part 1 of the Chips trial. And we are now have a new character coming onto the stage. It is the testimony of Christy Barber, the Guardian ad litem. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Again, these documents are a little bit hard to read at times, so you'll have to forgive me. Reading is a challenge for me at even the best of times, but look at these. These are all blurry and shit. All right, let me see. All right, thank you. This is in regards to Alicia Sweep, I believe, who just finished her testimony. And I've got a link to the previous video. If you missed that, you can see the entire stream previously with Alicia Sweep's testimony as she swept it up. All right, all right. Thank you, step down. Any other witnesses, Mrs. Pierce? I would like to call Christy Barber, Your Honor, the Guardian ad litem. All right, Miss Barber, do you want to come forward? And I'll swear you in. Miss Barber, do you want to raise your right hand? And then she is then duly affirmed and examined and testified on her affirmation as follows. All right, you may be seated. Thank you. You may proceed, Miss Pierce. Direct examination begins. Can you please state your full and last name for the record? Christy Barber. And what is your occupation? I am a Minnesota employee. I'm called a Guardian ad litem or GAL. I think it's a little bit of a sexist term that apparently all these Guardian ad litems just happen to be female, but maybe that's a government conspiracy. Who can say? What is the role of a Guardian ad litem? We have several roles defined by the Minnesota statute. But essentially, it is to advocate for... I can't quite see. I can't quite read that. I think it says like children under something 10 or something. Is to advocate for something, interests... okay. But essentially, it is to advocate for the interests favoring of children in juvenile family court or family court proceedings. Come on, next time we get a scan, can we get a bit clearer? Minnesota public reporter. And you're the Guardian ad litem appointed to this case. Yes, I have been. And do you have an opinion about whether continued placement in foster care is in the child's best interest or not? I do. And what is that opinion? I have been on the file now for 2 weeks. I have some collateral information from the children's doctor, from the agency, from Minnesota Monitoring. That's the drug testing facility. And continued custody of the children is currently the safest course of action for the children based on the fact that there was a drug raid in the house and cocaine was found in the home and reketamine. And based on that fact, I have a test from Minnesota Monitoring showing a positive coke test result for the second youngest child in the home. And that would worry a Guardian ad litem. In your opinion, are there any services or conditions that the court could order today that would allow the children to return safely home? I don't believe there are any conditions that could be ordered today, but I'm hoping that we could move to a place where a lot of things can be ordered by the court, which would allow the children to return to the home as soon as is safely possible. But no, not today. I think that we are really early on in the case yet. And we just got the children's hair follicle test back. We've tried, I think. Yeah, we've tried a safety network meeting, but we're not there yet. There are some questions about whether allowing the grandparents to move into the family home with the children. Do you have any concerns about that? It's a really creative solution. We don't often see that. It's not often possible. I know Ms. Sweep testified that it gets really complicated with licensing, and I'm aware of that. We used to be able to do it more frequently. I think about 5 or 10 years ago. And we haven't seen it now because of licensing being an issue. But I have concerns about it. But they are limited yet, and I'm still getting to know the family. So when Nick said the idea of putting the family or the grandparents in the home was an idea that was ridiculous, and everybody in the court hated it. It seems like it's a pretty interesting idea to the court. They don't seem to be against it. It's just that it may be an issue with the licensing. And of course, the parents did state that they have never seen Nick under the influence, and they couldn't even recognize it if that was, which it was an issue in the previous testimony that we read. But yes, it all comes down to the licensing. Yes. Do you have that license? Let me see. Uncivil Law says, I took a class for being a gal when I was back in Virginia. Do you put on a wig for that? Back when I was in Virginia, oh, so long ago, for some continuing legal educational credit, but my family law isn't really my thing. I think family law would be like one of the worst things possible, honestly. It sounds like awful. It seems like there's very few cases that are very positive and fun. But no, let us continue. That's interesting little deepest law on uncivil law. Where was I? The biggest concern for the guardian ad litem at this time, which I've been open with everyone about, is I understand the position of the parents and their criminal matter, but until a guardian can figure out how did the drugs get into the home, and how do we prevent the parents from coming back into the home, and then how did that child test positive for cocaine on that test, and how do we ensure that this never happens to the kids again? I never want to see the kids go through a drug raid again. I join in everyone sitting in this courtroom today that we want those kids to not be exposed to any sort of trauma. So until we get to a place where I can be confident that none of these things would happen to the children again, I can't endorse them returning to the home at this time or having anyone move into that home, or until the grandparents get more education on the recognition of drug use. Essentially, I don't think that any of us have the ability to fully understand what happened yet. And I think that's going to be really critical place for the family in ensuring this never happens again. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you. All right. Thanks. Miss Weber, thank you. Cross-examination by Mrs. Weber. I believe that is Nick's lawyer. Let me just quickly check on that, actually. I'm pretty sure Dawn Weber is Nick's one, but I want to just have a quick look. Quick looky-loo. Let's see. Let me see. The father of Nicholas Cater. Yep. Attorney Dawn Weber is Nick's lawyer. We don't need the Mrs. from the Court of the Baldo anymore, but thank you, Josh. Miss Barber, were you in the Rekieta home this morning? I was. Oh, is that the last page? Oh, sorry. That's the last part of page 1. Okay. Page 2. Okay. Let's see. How long were you there? Oh, sorry. Just closing another window. How long were you there? I had only intended to be there about 30 minutes, but actually, I think I left at 9:20 and I arrived at 8. So, an hour and a half. Okay. And in the 1.5 hours, were you able to look through the house? I was. They gave very cooperative with me, and they gave me a really great tour of the home. Okay. Was there any safety concerns? No. I didn't note any safety concerns during this time. In fact, I always feel a little invasive when you have to check through fridges and cupboards and ask parents to go through, their private spaces of their home. But they were really cooperative. So you were able to get into the master bedroom? Yes, I was. And were you able to take a peek in the closets? Yes. And open the drawers? We didn't open a lot of drawers, just in the kitchen. Okay. And my understanding is I think there's like an adjoining master bathroom. Yes, in the master bathroom or master bedroom. Were you able to inspect that room as well? We kind of peeked into it. They have a little pug puppy. I forgot the puppy's name. Say his name, chat. Sunny. Hashtag save Sunny, or SS for short. Some people have been putting some lightning bolts or something. That's a bit weird, but I guess that looks like an S, so you could post those too if you want. But save Sunny. Let the name be known of Doggo. We're gonna save her, chat, if we work together. If you like the stream and say save Sunny in chat, pray for puggers. We're gonna make it happen. We're gonna will it into existence. It's self-affirmation. But that's kind of funny. The pug's still in the bathroom prison. They've just relegated this pug to the master bedroom toilet, essentially. The pug needs to be free, Nick. It needs to taste the air, that Minnesotan sweet nature air. We can't let the pupper outside, though, because all the raccoons the family of the raccoons that he's executed are coming back for revenge. So he can't let a dog outside, but at least let it go into the living room or something. Now, if you remember Nick's mugshot, he has a black eye. He says he got that because he because he slipped on a dog toy in the master bathroom and then hit a sink or something. Now, what's funny about that is that Nick was doing, that was first exposed on his local stream that he did, where he was doing a camless, like a faceless stream, but he had the cam on for 1 second. And in that 1 second, people saw he had a black eye and they're like, that's kind of weird. And it's kind of weird that he's not streaming without a cam today, but he's okay. And then he got arrested and then they saw the black eye again. So he was obviously trying to hide it. And why would he be trying to hide it? If it was a simple, funny little accident, little oopsie, why not just come out and tell the chat? This story of slipping on the dog toy came out much later. Also, Meals on Wheels just gifted 10 memberships. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Big support today on the stream. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Did I read this? I think I did, right? Yeah, I read this one, the Sunburn one. I assume that's because he may have climbed up a staircase or something. He probably got out of breath. All right, let's see. We kind of peeked into it. They have a little pug. I forgot the puppy's name already, but here's a little puppy there, so I wasn't able to view the entire master bathroom. But we didn't get into it. So you didn't see any drug paraphernalia? No. And in fact, I kind of looked at the surface. Mum has a beautiful jewelry collection. Her cosmetics, I didn't see anything open and on the counter spaces while I was there. I got money for Kayla's jewelry, but not enough money for SpaghettiOs. Embarrassing. How embarrassing. The family has a lot of treasures. We actually have a lot of similar interests in their collectibles, and so a lot of conversation was on the things that their family treasures and valuables. I know there was some discussion about the grandparents, whether they could move into the home, and I understood that there are some licensing issues. But would you have any worries if the children were to move back into the primary home with the grandparents, while, as you say, they were sorting everything out? Today, I would. I mean, I think most people know here, I really love creative solutions into getting children back into their homes. It's something that the Guardian really strives for. So the court is actually saying they want to get these kids back with their home. It's not that Nick's like this mastermind who's like, he's tricking the court and using his acumen in the legal system to get the kids back. The Guardian wants the kids to move back in home. It's interesting that they let this Guardian see into the entire house. I think what happened is that they had something really embarrassing in the master bedroom. And when Alicia Sweep came on the first visit, they absolutely could not let her see inside. But then knowing that looked terrible, the second time this Guardian came through, Christy Barber, they're like, no, come inside the master bedroom, trying to make up for their mistake, But then obviously they've had where the second visit was weeks apart. So they had time to move everything into the second house, the trap house, with the trap wife as well, April. Who can say what was there? They had time to move the St. Andrew's cross to the second house. Let me see. Some of the questions that we just haven't had time, and we just haven't gotten there yet, because I know no people have allowed to. The parents are dealing with this criminal part of their case, and I know that it has caused a kind of inhibition to be really transparent and open. I mean, so far, I think they'll get there with me. They're just not there yet. So what this is in regards to is that in the previous document, Alicia Sweep was complaining that because Nick would not admit to what type of drugs they were using, she could not adequately suggest a proper cleaning course of action to get the kids back in the house. They need to be clean and sober for 60 days. And also they need to do proper cleaning procedures. That's what the government was asking. But because Nick was saying, well, I never did any drugs. You can't prove I've done any drugs. There's no dirty tests. She has no way to recommend him the proper manner of cleaning, because different drugs will have different cleaning concerns. Some houses get tainted, I believe, forever with certain drugs, like if you like a meth lab or something, for example. But with Coke, it seems like just bleaching everything down would probably be enough. Also, LK gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. That's a very cute little Cthulhu catty there. Hopefully it's not the same name as Lovecraft's cat. But thank you all the same. Yes. Also, if you become a member, you get access to the bleach emoji, which is very multi-purpose. But you can't guarantee that you've got it in your house, but you can guarantee you have it in your chat by joining as a member. Let me see. One of the biggest concerns right now is that drugs were located in the home. Whether or not, I don't see that they're there today. They are telling me that they're not there today, but certainly I want to ensure that drugs never come back into that home. Oh, party's over, Nick. Unfortunate. And until I can fully understand how they got into that home, we're sort of at like an impasse. These are conversations that I think that the parents and I will have to get to and have. We're just not there today. So I can't sit here today and say that that would be a plausible thing that could happen. But I'm really hoping that we can work towards that, and sooner rather than later. So they want to get the kids back as soon as possible, which seems to be counter to what Nick is saying. It's all because of his actions. Objection, Your Honor. I'm representing myself, but I'm not representing myself. You haven't had the chance to look at that second residence that we've discussed? No, I haven't. I did hear about it today at the home visit, and I mean, the parents have been cooperative with me, so I'm not anticipating any barriers with me being able to view that residence. That's the next door house that Nick also owns, that they had a family moving in there, but they kicked them out so that April could move in. And even though she's at their main house all the time, technically she lives at the second house. And I assume that's where the whiskey went, because if Nick was still pissing hot on the drug test for alcohol until this court case, I don't think for a second he would part with his expensive and delicious whiskey collection. Probably just send it somewhere else, right? He said he gave it away, but who would he give it away to? I think I know exactly where that whiskey's located. I think if I had a team, I could find it. I should clarify that's a joke. I don't. Obviously, there's no actions that are going to go. Okay, but some of the people in the Baldo camp are dumb enough to actually think that. It happens. You'd be surprised. I get a lot of angry comments these days, and they're very funny sometimes. Perhaps we'll read some at some point. Yes, we might do that. That might be fun. We might do like a fan mail section, and I'll read my dumbest comments on this case. Believe me, there's a few of them. Anyway, let me see. It's around the residence from. Yep, it's from the primary home. I know it's near, but I'm not actually very familiar with that area. I have childhood memories of the fields there, and I don't know much about the second residence, so I would have to ask more questions. I believe it's like separated by some trees, but it's essentially the next door house. Although it is the countryside, so next door is a little bit. You could walk to it, absolutely, but it's not like. Actually, maybe you could see it from. I don't know. I haven't seen the layout myself, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. Let's see. Assuming that the second residence would be safe to move into with the grandparents and the kiddos. Any problem with that? It actually says kiddos in the court document. That's kind of adorable. I think today we're not in a position of making any of those changes. Today, I think what's absolutely best for the kids is that they stay with their grandparents in a relative's home. I think that that's the least restrictive right now. The grandparents have said that they've stayed in that home before, and I think that we're really trying to really minimally impact that. I think the goal, I would like to see minimal disruptions. I would like to see, full compliance with the agency on the safety concerns we have, correcting those conditions so that the kids can get to the point where they can move back into the home with their grandparents. Oh, I thought Nick said that the court hated this idea. It was just the idea of one crazy lawyer, right? It seems the guardian ad litem's actually pro this idea. Interesting. That's another lie that Nick has told in this stream, well, the stream we just watched alone. I'd hate to see the kids shuffled around too much. I'd rather just work to plan to see towards a trial home visit or relative move into their home. So when Nick said he got his kids back, it's a confirmed, then I would assume, that this is a trial visit, which means he's on good boy dad behavioral duties. They're going to be checking up on him. It's not over, as people would have you believe. Like, for instance, this person. Where is it? Oh, wrong August. This guy seems to think it's all over. Cope. Nick got the W. Aaron's a snitch for the government. W for Nick. La losers. Nick won. Ha. Yeah, this is the people I actually have to read now. Because I do read all the comments. A lot of them give me giggles though. Let me see. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you. All right, Mr. Mueller, no questions. Mr. Greener, cross-examination. Miss Barber, what do the kids see? What do the kids want to see happen there? The kids want to go home. I don't think this surprises anyone. It is very sweet and indeed want to go home. But to be honest, even kids in the worst situation want to go home and want to be with their parents. It's instinctual. That's what family is. And family means nobody gets left behind. It's Ohana. Do you agree they miss their parents tremendously? They do. And they love their parents. Yeah, they miss and love them. Miss their grandparents tremendously or love their parents tremendously? Yes, they do. And their pets. Lion, Button, Ninja, and their pug, Sunny. Oh, say his name, chat. Say his name. Save Sunny. Save Sunny. That's very adorable, though. I like these names. Lion, Button, and Ninja. I hope it's named after an actual ninja and not like Ninja the streamer. If it's named after Ninja the streamer, that's cringe. And that child deserves a beating. Just kidding, obviously. But no, those are adorables. They're adorable. I keep mixing up their names, but yes, cats, frogs. Oh, that's nice. I had a pet frog when I was a kid. I have a froggo here right now. See? He's very adorable too. This frog's losing some weight since it's my coin purse. But it's very adorable. I like that. I like that little froggo. But no, when I was a kid, I used to go catch frogs and would keep them as pets for like a week. But then my parents made them release them because, yeah, they were just wild frogs in Australia. Actually, very cool memory of my childhood. I remember like I guess spelunking around ponds with my friend trying to catch the frogs, and we would get like these big green ones. Those are the best ones. Like I guess they're like green tree frogs or something. I don't know. But it's a very fond memory of mine. Frogs are adorable. And actually, like this is coming back to me now. We had a Bible, you know, like all the kids had a Bible, right, when I was a kid. Although I'm not overly religious these days. But we had a Bible, and in the back of the Bible, there was all this empty pages, or like semi-filled in pages you could fill in with like marriages and additions to the families and things like that. And every time I got a pet, I would get my Bible and I would write it as a new member of the family. And if we got like 2 frogs, then it would be like Mr. and Mrs. Ribbits or something. They were married on the day that I found them, and I would fill that out in my old family Bible. Pretty silly thing to do because I didn't even know the genders of the frogs, I guess. They could have been living in sin for all I know. Who knows? But yeah, it's very, very nostalgic. Very cool, I think. That's a fun thing about being a kid, you know, especially in Australia. Like I sometimes give Australia some shit, but it was a pretty cool place to grow up. What? No friends as a child? I told you I went spelunking with my friend to catch frogs. I'll tell you another childhood memory. I've never told anyone before, actually. I'm pretty sure I've never told anyone on the stream before because the chat always gives me shit for telling the same stories over and over. I went over to my friend's house once, and he had a really big dog. And he told me, we took the dog for a walk, and it was a big dog. I can't remember the breed. It was probably like a German Shepherd or something, but it was very poorly trained, and it just loved to run. And so we were walking with this dog in the park along this gravel road, and I was like, I want to hold the dog's leash. I want to hold the dog's leash, and I must have been like 6 or 7 at this time. And the dad was like, look, this is a very strong dog. You probably can't handle it. I'm like, no, I can do it. I'm ready. Send me in, coach. Send me in. The second I held onto that dog's leash, it started running, and it dragged me a good 20 yards before it stopped running, before like the dad whistled and it stopped the dog from running. And then I just remember that afternoon was spent like rubbing my shins with iodine because I got my legs cut up because I wasn't prepared for that dog. But that's I guess a kind of a wholesome fuck around and find out story. Anyway, sorry, not to waste time on this stream, I suppose. We'll get back to this. But yeah, there you go. There's another childhood memory from Australia. That proves I have a friend, even though I could. Anyway, I keep mixing up their names, but yes, cats, frogs, they're a lover of all things, animals and nature. And I think my tour of the home also showed me that the kids have really eclectic and interesting talents. And so they have a house full of lots of hobbies and interests. And I'm sure they miss their home. One of the benefits we have right now is a family placement and the ability for, I believe, things to move freely between homes right now, which, do you agree, gives them more comfort? Do you agree that a foundational principle is that the goal of reunification as soon as possible, as soon as possible, is that the children who have lived with their parents their entire life to find themselves separated from that is extremely traumatic? It is. I've talked about this. I've talked a lot about trauma yesterday. And so you would agree that these children have always lived with their parents since they were born. That's my understanding. Okay. And as such, to now be involuntarily separated from their parents is, in fact, having a very traumatic effect on them. Why, yes, I would agree. Mr. Griner says, I don't have any other questions. All right, Mrs. Pierce. Oh, and one other question, if I may judge. All right. You said you wouldn't recommend children going home today. Realistically, how soon would they go home from your perspective if everything comes together in the way you would want them to, would want and expect? Sure. I know how often I get that question about the, time. Like, how often do we need? One of the beautiful things that I've seen on these cases is like a case plan trajectory. Again, Nick said it was all nebulous and mysterious, but they're laying it out pretty clearly, I thought, at this trial. Because we are so new in this case, we don't have a case plan yet. We don't have a trajectory, but I think we gave the agency time to develop a trajectory of this plan of how many drug negative tests are needed to see if we get those chemical use assessments done, if we get some education into the family and some safety planning with the children. I mean, oftentimes the average family, I'm speaking in generalities here, the average family, if we can see between 30 and 60 days of sobriety, they're moving towards unsupervised visits. They're moving towards those trial home visits. The hard part for us right now is we don't know. I don't know enough about their parents' use. If there was use, if there was a problem, I just know that there were drugs found in the home and a child tested positive. So this is interesting because Nick would say that if he went to rehab, there would be an admission of guilt. It seems like if he went to rehab immediately, he would have got his kids back faster. Because admitting to like, okay, yep, I had a problem. These are the steps I've taken to alleviate the problem, and I've been sober for this many days. It could have been 30 days instead of 70 days, according to this guardian ad litem. So we need to know more in order for them to plan better, if that makes sense. Once we know that, I think we can give a better time frame. The goal is to get these kids home before Minnesota time frame expires. And I don't want to see anyone waste any time. So as soon as the parents can cooperate fully with the agency, I think we can cut those timeframes shorter than they need to be. I don't have any other questions. Thank you. All right, Miss Pierce, any brief follow-up? No, Your Honor. Thank you. All right. Then, Miss Barber, you may be excused. And Miss Barber, the guardian ad litem, says thank you, which brings to a close that document. I believe these documents are all old documents, but they're just supplemental of that. There you go. And Seeker Loathing says, to anyone who is holidaying in Osaka, don't go to the Kaiyukan or Universal Studios on Sunday while summer vacation is full swing, unless you enjoy jostling in the crowds. Yeah, it's a very unfortunate time to come to Osaka. I already said unfortunately. Because not only is it summer vacation, not only is it the most populous time tourists have been in Japan ever, basically, but you just arrived during what is about to be the longest holiday in Japan, Obon, the summer vacation period. And tomorrow is actually it's a Sunday today, and tomorrow is a public holiday as well. Very unfortunate. I hope you were able to get a good time at the aquarium, though. It's really cool. Did you end up going to that party that I recommended? I hope you did have fun, because you said you're only in Osaka for one day. But unfortunately, I was busy. Otherwise, I could have showed you around. I was free yesterday, but today I had stuff to do. But yeah, it's going to be one of the busiest times, I'm afraid. It's just the way it is. But thank you for those Singaporean dollary-doos. There you go. There you go. And now let me check my folder. Yep. There we go. There we go. That is the new documents and the update in the Breaking Baldo case. So the next stream will, I guess, be when the next doc drop comes out. If you have any suggested topics, I'd be happy to hear them. You can always email me, send them to me on Twitter, or also in Discord. If you are a member, as we got a lot of gifted memberships today, look at that. Then I will go add a community tab update, which will have the private Discord link if you so wish to join that. And then that is where you can also find the Ceiling Cat docs. But again, if you just search for Tubby Paws, Ceiling Cat, or Ceiling Cat Papercraft, you can get it for free as well. It's not like I invented it. It's just funny because this was an old thing that I remember from a long time ago. And then when I saw Sean's stream, I completely forgot that Ceiling Cats used to be a thing. Like, people would just make these in Papercraft, right? They are pretty cool though. They do look very authentic. Look at that. I need like a boom mic, like right here, so that the Ceiling Cat is right here. This would be perfect if I could just find some way to stick it there. It actually just looks like really good. I think it's actually in more focus than I am. It's like in the better focal plane. But like if it just sticks there, like the background actually looks like it's just coming out of the ceiling. That's kind of crazy. So adorable. And I even got a ceiling cat for my ceiling cats. I've got 2. Look at that. I'm going to go add their names to my Bible as now I can't let my cats live in sin together. Righty, there you go. There you go. So let's see. Is there anyone else streaming that I can stream into? Is there anyone else streaming? Don't see anyone online. Don't see anybody. Looks like no, there is not. Sometimes someone starts streaming as soon as I stop, and I feel bad because I like restreaming to people. What about Nick? Nick Starro. Is he on? Let's see. Sometimes they don't show up. They're going live. Max Mura, Hayden. Is Hayden streaming? Let me check. I saw they were streaming before. I think they finished. I don't see anyone. No one I'm seeing. Looks like they streamed. Oh, they stopped 9 minutes ago. All right. We'll play out chat, and then we will be gone. And I'll see you. Thanks for the support today. I'll go add that invite to the Discord on the members channel. And until then, stay safe out there, and peace. Peace.
But at least now it can't get much worse.
But it did get worse.
I never thought I'd say this, but shouldn't we be
Law-splaining the interwebs.
say the line?
Interesting new matter of public record attached.
Yeah!